had 2 megs of memory, and that's not enough. So I said, screw this. I'm going to look the docs up on this card and see what this thing can handle.
Right.
I don't know why I never did this before. And so it says it'll take 1, 2, 4, or 8 megs of memory. I'm like, well, hell. How hard can it find, and how much can it cost to get 8 megs of like effectively EDO memory? Well, $10 is what it costs to get it. So arrived at my house right now is the 8 megs of memory. So I got this, put this in my expansion board. It's supposed to be guaranteed to work.
Well, you know how that goes.
Well, I mean, it's money back guarantee from a reputable memory wholesaler.
You're not talking about AmiKit.
No. I bought this in domestic.
Crucial or something like that?
Here's the best part. This is an Amiga-only memory.
Oh, okay.
Right. So it's just like if PCs use the same stuff.
Okay.
And thankfully, documentation provided the actual numbers I needed. So all I had to do was just go on eBay with those numbers, and 1 million of them came up. Ordered one, $10. It just arrived. So theoretically, I should be able to put this in the Amiga, slam the door on that sucker, fire up the capture board, and then go to work, sir. I actually played Beneath the Still Sky on the computer. I couldn't run the WHD load, so I actually played this on the virtual floppy on the GoTech.
Oh man, nightmare fuel.
I also played the emulated version too.
Good move.
And I went on floppy. Because I wanted to get one thing we never talk about. Now I don't do it that often, so this time I played. I did watch some of the CD version, so I could hear the voices sound.
Let's talk about that on the show.
So I've been busy. What is going on with the phone?
So this is where we're simulcasting to Facebook through the magic of my phone.
You paying for that?
What do you mean?
Like mobile charges or whatever?
We got unlimited data, man. Unlimited.
No kidding. So if the stream goes down, we're gonna have this somewhere? Is that the plan?
No, the plan is just to see how many hits we get if we stream live on Facebook versus on YouTube.
We're gonna do both, huh?
We're gonna do it all. We're everywhere.
See, this is why you're the man.
What's that song that starts, "Close the door"? Like Lionel Richie or something? Brian McKnight? Pedleonsis?
You got me on that one. I know there's "Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me" has the lyric "Close the door" in it.
This is like an R&B jam.
You got me.
You're not big on the R&B jams.
Well, I mean, there have been times where I would be into it, but
yeah. What do you think about Lionel Richie?
I loved Lionel Richie. I had his greatest hits album back when I was younger. You know. Then of course there was the unpleasantness or whatever happened in his career kind of tanked, but now he's back. You see him everywhere now.
I didn't know that he had unpleasantness.
I think there was some unpleasantness, as I recall. I don't want to chastise the guy for something, but I'm pretty sure I think there was a.
Was it relationship related?
Yeah, that's right. But then again, I said something about Jackson Brown on one of our episodes, and I can't remember. I was right.
Oh no, he was totally right. You're totally right. On that.
I thought I was. So I don't want to.
I like Lionel Richie.
Hi guys.
With the Commodores back in the day.
I liked a bunch of his songs. You know.
Have you ever seen the Jimmy Fallon recreated video of Hello?
I don't like Jimmy Fallon.
Well, you'd like this.
No, I wouldn't. Is Jimmy Fallon in it?
He's in it.
Then I wouldn't like it.
I don't understand. All the cool guys don't like Jimmy Fallon.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Everybody that believes they have good taste, they don't like Jimmy Fallon. All the guys rolling around in the muck like me think Jimmy Fallon's all right.
You know the guy that hosts the other late night show?
Leno?
No, not Leno. Are you kidding me?
Oh, he took over for Leno. Letterman?
No. The other young...
Dick Cavett.
The other young guy. Dick Cavett. My God. Dick Cavett, I will say, Dick Cavett's been in some pretty funny stuff.
He's dead, isn't he?
Did he die?
I don't know. I mean, after he went off the air, what else did he do?
Remember he was in Beetlejuice.
Really?
Yeah, he had a real funny bit on The Simpsons.
Really?
Yeah.
I always just figured he was a late night show host, and then he just kind of faded into obscurity.
He's famous. He's a famous guy.
He'd had a lot of great guests.
I believe he did a bit in a Woody Allen movie as well.
I'd like to know why that show got canceled, because I mean, he had tons of famous people on there.
It probably ran for a long time, didn't it?
It ran for, I think, about 10 years.
Yeah, that's a pretty good run.
Yeah.
You know,
but it's not like the Tonight Show or the Letterman. Who did take over for Letterman?
Well,
Drew Carey?
Letterman I don't know. Did anyone take over for Letterman? I
Yeah,
thought he
there's definitely a late night show.
But I mean, I'm saying no. It wasn't like the Tonight Show.
Oh, it was the guy from that did the fake show.
The Man Show.
No.
Yeah,
That's
the
the late.
Man
That's
Show.
the later.
Yeah, that's
But
what
I'm talking
Jimmy
about
Kimmel.
Stephen Colbert took over for Letterman.
Yeah,
he took over
He's
Letterman's
horrible.
time slot.
He's another guy that's horrible. I don't like any of those guys.
I don't like Colbert much either.
I don't like Colbert. I don't like
Jimmy Fallon's cool.
No, he's not cool.
He's funny.
No,
He has a good time. He's not too cool for school.
I'm not a fan. I didn't like him on Tonight Show or on Saturday Night Live. I didn't like his movie, and I don't like his show.
Did he do any movies?
He did that baseball Red Sox marriage movie. I can't remember the name of it.
Are you sure you're not thinking of somebody else?
No, I'm right. Look into it, bud.
Mm-hmm. So far, we've got no viewers on the Facebook.
Just like the WWE. It's exactly the same way with their
on their Facebook feed.
Our problem is we don't ever do anything on Facebook. I mean, I was going crazy with G+, then I stopped because it went away.
Well, the problem is
I
that,
can't access Facebook.
Right, that's the real problem, is that we can't access it at work, and so.
Which is stupid. You know? Look.
Got some folks here in the chat here on YouTube.
The crew is amassing. Barkbit sent me over some audio this week for the ARG. Delightful, in a word.
Well, Barkbit is a somewhat renowned composer with the chip tunes and the mods.
That's what it was some mods.
Yeah.
They'll be getting subtly entered into to the show this week. And it's nice to have help from the of our buddies on ARG with the graphics and the sound. We're gonna get
You should get some help with the host too.
Boy, listen, you don't do so much. Don't do so. Don't rag on poor Brent.
No, I would never rag on ARG. That
Yes,
show
you
will
do.
last forever.
You've tried to cancel that show 100 times. Thank God you have no real true power.
That's true. What do you think of James Corden's show?
Change
Duncan
Brian
asks.
the Lion. Make sure you change that. Who?
James Corden?
Is that the Australian guy?
I think that's John Oliver.
Okay, then.
I don't know who James Corden. James Corden is also of the Commonwealth. He's the guy that does all the carpool karaoke stuff.
I never watched that.
But you've seen the carpool karaoke segments, right?
I know of them. It's not like I don't. You know what I'm doing at late night? I'm like this.
You're watching Robot Chicken videos. I know.
No.
'Cause all those are recorded on our YouTube channel.
I don't have cable. I don't have. It's
No,
like,
you're watching them on YouTube.
I'll watch.
You're watching Simpsons clips
Here's
and
the
Robot
thing.
Chicken.
If you watch like 2 of those, then they pop up forever. Like that is no.
That's true.
That thing
It's
is no
true.
indication of my true feelings. I was like, because I can't tell me because I shut the window. No more. No more. No more of these clips. I looked at baseball highlights the other day. Now it's nonstop.
It's just everything.
It's like, could you just stop? Don't suggest anything.
Yeah.
You know?
I wish you could tell YouTube not to suggest anything.
I just want a random selection of stuff. I haven't got to see the stuff I'm subscribed for. I can't just randomly, watch.
I just wanted to just show me the next Kim Justice video. Just send it on in.
I haven't even got to watch her top 100 Sinclair
I know.
Spectrum
I haven't
or
watched
her
that
top
either.
100. She had 2 of these. I didn't get to see the other one either. So, I don't get. I've been busy. I had to drive
Drunken
a lot.
said he took over from Craig Ferguson. I'm not exactly sure who Craig Ferguson is.
Now that's
though.
that's the guy. I have seen him.
Okay. Is he? In
I
my
thought he-
mind, when I think Craig Ferguson, I can only think of Conan O'Brien.
I
Do
like
they look
Conan.
similar?
Now, I will say I did watch Conan's show.
Craig Ferguson. Who was the guy on Coach?
I don't know.
Craig T. Nelson.
Yeah.
Not the same guy.
Not even the same looking guy. You just go by names.
I do.
And your mind sort
I
of
go by
melds them
names.
together. You got your boat shirt on?
I do. I got my boat shirt on.
You going boating this weekend, boat?
Man, it's going to be so hot. I'm going to be air conditioning basementing this weekend.
Hey, Jason made it.
Hey, Jason.
You're not going out anywhere? It's over?
I've got an EIDO test tomorrow.
Oh, yeah?
Testing for brown belt.
Congratulations. I'm assuming you're going to pass.
I hope so. We'll see. Chad is testing for yellow stripe. At Chad.
Oh, yeah?
Mhm.
Good for him. This isn't the sword fighting thing. It's the other thing, right?
Well, it's with the sword, but it's not combat.
No. What do you got in the cup there?
That is some Kraken and some
What a stupid
and some,
question that
some
was.
margarita mix that you bought. And
Weird.
well, it tastes horrible. I mean, it's
That's
awful.
because Kraken does. I can't really think about mixing it with anything.
No, it was a mistake. But I'm
You go just take it down.
I'm just going to take it down to Chinatown.
Yeah, that's that. Yeah, that's what I. That was my first thought. I was like, that looked like a Long Island iced tea. And I'm like, well, heck, if you're pouring those things in,
I guess
a
if
little something for Daddy.
I was going to say, I guess I could put some. I do have some Diet Pepsi I could have thrown in there.
Yeah, listen, you don't just adding stuff doesn't make it better.
That's true. That's true.
You know, you gotta cut your losses.
You've still never forgiven me for that lemon juice concoction I made for you a couple of years ago.
It was like drinking Pledge. You know what I mean? I could have spit on the table and then wax on, wax off.
It was the worst. It was awful.
My God, that was so bad. So you got no plans for the weekend, then?
No. How about you? You taking the Lukester out?
The Lukester's birthday's birthday party is Sunday.
Okay. What are you going to do? Jump City?
Fun City.
Fun City.
Fun City. We're going to Fun City, and it'll be a good time. He's looking for. I've got a pretty decent turnout.
I hope the Retro Zone is open.
It's not. It opens next week. My luck. Yeah, I know. And ironically, next week's his birthday, but we've got something bumped him.
Hey, what do you think if you're pretty tight with the owner down there at Fun City?
No.
What if you ask him if we could record a special show from the Retro Zone sometime?
He would let us.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guarantee he'd let us.
It'd be great. We should totally do it.
Because he would think he was getting some kind of awesome pub.
Well, we'd give him awesome
No,
pub.
he wouldn't. No,
Fun City, Barbersville.
Yeah.
Be there, Swedish people.
All the Scandinavians and Germans.
Right.
Like, okay, we'll be heading down. He said, I've only talked to him in person a few times. I've talked to him he got on me for getting rid of that main event without his knowledge. I was like, hey, it was there.
Right.
Just throwing a bid, pal.
Yeah.
And he tried to sell me a game that's horrible.
What is it?
I can't. It was some kind of really obscure, crappy fighting game that didn't do well.
Oh.
I can't remember the name of it. I don't know.
That sounds anti-Semitic.
Yeah, it's got a strange name. That's how. There you go. But yeah, he does. I did see that he put out a Miss Pac-Man. He's got one of those multi-cades out there with like about 1 million games on. So he's already got a little bit of retro stuff. I'm hoping to see some pinball up there as well. But
I don't know if he's got that kind of money.
I don't know. He's running a huge arcade.
He's running an arcade in the Huntington Mall.
He's doing well.
I hope so.
The party thing's doing real well. Trust me, booking that place, no easy task.
It would be interesting to know what the rent is these days at the mall.
I would be interested in knowing that.
Stores aren't exactly rushing into malls anywhere,
No.
but particularly.
But in West Virginia, you can still sort of get away with it.
That's true. That's true. And I do still enjoy walking around the mall from time to time.
I don't. I never have enjoyed it.
Really? What about during the holiday season?
It's
rush
the worst.
of the holiday
That's the worst.
season.
The masses, the unwatched masses, as they congeal into the hallways and slime their way towards.
It's amazing because I went to the Sears over there.
Yeah.
And the Sears is not updated.
The Sears that's gone now.
No, it's still there.
No, Sears got shut down.
The Sears of the Huntington Mall, I guarantee you,
It's
100%.
getting shut down.
It's still there right now.
But, I mean, it's on the it's getting chopped.
Well, I'm just saying, they had not updated their cashier thing. I mean, since I was there when I was a kid, there's only 2 places you can check out in the whole store, and the line just kind of snakes through the departments, through the lingerie.
I wonder why they're gone.
Yeah, right. It's great.
Contemporize, man.
It's funny. I think a lot about Sears. They, remember getting the Wish book when you were a kid?
Yes.
They were poised to be Amazon. If they would have just said when the internet came out, now you can order online, use the Wish book, boom. They had it within their grasp.
They could have just put numbers in the book that said, and just said, here's the number, give that to you.
Right. I mean,
a lot of people were slow. I mean, look, put this into perspective. Me and Brent have covered all these old computers in the past couple weeks, right? Who's got the DOS on all these things? The Coco, your MO5 Thompson, your free, all these weird computers. It's Bill Gates, MS DOS. It's on everything, right? And Bill Gates sold the internet, if you'll recall. He's like, you don't need that.
Right.
So the smartest, most brilliant computer guy on earth was like, no selling.
Well, you got to remember, I'm reading a book about the history of the internet as we speak.
Yeah.
And
Al Gore write that bad boy?
He did not, but Al Gore is mentioned. Yeah. Bill Gates sold the internet for about a year, from about 94 to about 95. And then Bill Gates went all in on the internet. That's when they created the Internet Explorer and crushed Netscape under their heel.
You're off center, Boat. And I told you other people noticed that, not just me. Pixels has chastised you.
What should I do?
Become a liberal or a conservative.
I like going right down the line.
No.
Us Catholics, we like the front of the bus, the back of the church, and the middle of the road.
I read a very interesting article today about a very famous Catholic.
Who's that? Me?
No,
Oh.
way more famous.
I don't believe it.
It was a fellow that I can't remember his name, but it was a fellow that lived in the 20s.
G.K. Chesterton.
He played in a very he played for the he played for Notre Dame Fighting Irish football
Newt
team.
Rockne.
Well, Newt Rockne was his coach.
Oh.
Okay, this guy was a running back.
Was it Rudy?
No, and let me finish.
Okay.
And so this guy was played in a very famous game where Notre Dame went to Penn State and just beat the tar out of him in this big game. And this guy had a huge career ahead of him. And press got word that he had had a marriage and a divorce. All right, was not good,
right,
as you know.
Right.
And so it turns out secretly he had married a girl and then divorced like the same day. And apparently he'd been tricked into thinking that he got her pregnant.
Oh.
Okay. Big scandal. So after this ball game, he got mauled. So they had to kick him off the team. All right. So what's he do? He goes to Chicago. They instantly pick up his contract, which was Notre Dame, so he didn't have a contract. And so who does Chicago have in their backfield? Bronco Nagurski.
I have no idea who that is, but that's the ultimate.
You never heard of
name.
Bronco Nagurski?
No.
He's a super famous running back. And Red Grange.
Oh, okay. I've heard of him.
They've got the killer running backs of absolute death. Okay? And so they bring this guy in. They're like, what are you doing? The coach is like, trust me. So he rolls in. They only have him for like 6 games. And he kills it. All right? Well, he's making more than everyone else on the team instantly. They don't like that. So he gets ostracized from football, gone. So he goes back and plays in a one Notre Dame game where it's like an all-star game, and he scores every touchdown in the game. This guy's a killer. And so he's like, what do I do now? Well, Ed Strangler Lewis was watching the game. Just listen, because you're wasting your time.
I don't know who that is.
He's a big. At the time, he was a huge wrestler.
Oh.
He says, you're wasting your time with football. The real money's in wrestling.
Sure. Well, at that time, it was. Football players made nothing.
Wrestling rivaled the NFL in popularity. So he said, okay. So he goes and learns to wrestle, and he starts wrestling to packed houses. People love him. And he ends up fighting Jim Londos for the world title, and he beats him in a controversial decision. So controversial that it was overturned. Athletic commissions got involved. Real bizarre. Who knows? At this point, also in wrestling, most of the time the fights were fixed. Sometimes they weren't. There were always some kind of weird power struggles. So anyway, his wrestling career sort of gets curtailed. All right. So World War II by this time is starting to break out. Okay. So this guy was a native Italian. So what do? Well, gets recruited by the government to go over and spy in Italy.
Wow, this is sounding like one of the great stories.
Yeah, it is. And so this guy, and they've pieced this guy's life together because he's real secretive, you know. So he goes over. They want him to, help them determine if their guy in Italy is going to play ball when America wants to take over Italy, because Mussolini's, so this is the guy that they're going to use to, I guess, take over the country. And I don't even remember who it was. So anyway, he goes over and does a bunch of spy stuff in Italy and all over Europe. It's the war's over. So what's the guy do? He ends up coming back, and he ends his life, and he only lived to be 65. He comes back and becomes he comes back, graduates college.
Okay.
Becomes a school teacher, and died in Henderson, Kentucky.
Wow.
At the end of his life, he was so beat down because he was a thick, big, muscular killer. He was so arthritic, couldn't even pick up a dumbbell at the end of his life. And he was a school teacher, and that's how he passed away. It was an awesome tale.
Yeah. How did you stumble across that?
Wrestling website came up. It was from Philly Inquirer. If anyone wants to look it up, it was in today's issue. It's really good.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. What a story.
I love that stuff.
All right, I'll fix the camera.
Man, you're driving him nuts, dude.
Now it seems like we've gone the other way.
What if we hold hands while we do the show? That way you can't possibly move.
Perfect.
Or maybe like the Rockettes, where you put your upper arm over your shoulder.
It would be interesting to see the Rock and the Rockettes together.
It's probably happened.
Yeah.
I think the Rockettes are pretty impressive. Not just the hotness, but the...
They have, you have to be a certain height between this and this to be a Rockette.
I believe it, man. See, look for See, look how relieved everybody is.
Everybody's
now.
like, yeah, they're loving it. Well,
you ready to kick this sucker off?
I am. I've been actually no. I'm going to use the facilities before the show this week.
You'll be going again. You'll be going again.
When you get to be a certain age.
What's that white belt sitting on your desk on your table right there?
It's funny when I practice Iaido. I just bring the sword down, but I have to keep the sword and I have to keep the sheath in the belt. So yeah, this is my practice zone.
So you walk around naked with that belt on.
Yeah. That's how I do it in class too. Because
no one else can hear what you're saying, so I can just sort of make my own story up. That's disgusting. Well, while he's gone, let's see what you fine folks have been saying this week. Anybody in here play the games this week? Be interested to know, or have maybe even beaten the game this week. What you guys have been up to here? You played the game or you beat the game, Picard? What did he do now? No, I know. Here, let me. There we go. Don't tell him I did it. He won't ever know. Huzzah! Did it actually did it come on? Here's my next question. Yeah, that's right. How many people... I'm looking over this chat room here. Oh, good. Actually, that's great news, man. Jason is working on our beaten, beleaguered Amiga 600 that went south on us. Yeah. So, how many people in here that have tuned in live to see me and Boat have powered up their Amiga in the past week? If you powered your Amiga up in the past week, and if you've powered it up in the past month, or the past year, or if you haven't played one forever, just scream it out. I'd be interested to see who's playing them how often. Yes, that counts, Jason. Okay. Well, we knew pixels, right? I didn't think about people that had them currently powered on. If you're watching me on your Amiga. Ooh, that was hard too. I never was any good at that. Several months. I've had mine on quite a bit this week. In storage? Come on, lunch. What's going on over there? Oh no. Just roll down to your local Amiga parts or replacement store. Oh man, a year.
Alright, I'm just going to start from scratch.
Where you going? You're going to get another booze? Make a better one this time, for God's sake. That's pathetic. Oh, in Florida. Sweet. Not too bad. Get ready for some humidity, my friend. Amiga on my living room table. Not bad. Now, I'm assuming, do the majority of you, how many of you just have one Amiga? Or do you have multiple Amigas? Because I was thinking the other day, I currently own, I've got the House 500, I've got a 600, I've got a 1200, I got a CD32 at the house as well. I may have two 500s, now I think about it, Bode.
Really?
Yeah.
How do you have two?
Well, I had one, and then I think I got another one.
Where from?
I don't remember.
Are you sure you don't have two 1200s?
No,
oh, no.
That'd be great.
You have the House 500, and then you also got that one from Lewisburg, right?
That was a 1200.
You've got two 1200s.
No, I've got one. Oh, man. I got one 1200. Maybe I just got the one. I'll have to go back and look at my stocks.
Didn't you get one from...
I had two.
Right.
I can't remember. Did I sell one of those? I don't think I sold one, did I? I can't remember.
You got two 1200s, like I said.
No, I've never had two. I did sell one of the 1200s a long time ago, the one that was jacked up.
Yeah.
Wow, Jason's...
Oh, yeah.
Jason, I know you've got a bunch. Just one case, yeah. Ooh, now see there. Oh my gosh, dude. 15 years. So you've just been sitting on them, and you've got a 2000. Hey, for those that haven't powered them on for a while, and you have your reasons, maybe it's you don't have the space or whatnot, we are coming up into a real. Have you seen all the stuff that's in the drawing board that's going to be coming out hardware-wise? These old things. I mean, and it's not super expensive. I mean, people are going to be able to use the 500, and the 600 is a viable option now. You know what I'm saying?
Here's the thing: they've always been viable because AGA is no good.
No, I'm ignoring that. Listen, AGA is just that. But I mean, if you don't like AGA, that's better. You don't like the games, but it's not the chipset's fault. The chipset is.
I can't blame anybody else.
The chipset's fine. It's just that they either use it well or they don't, or perhaps
they don't use it at all.
You can make an argument that the original chipset wasn't used to its full potential.
No,
but I think you can make that argument with just about every computer.
I don't agree. The original chipset, they wrung the juice out of that original chipset as much as humanly possible.
Some people did towards the end.
What they should have done was not put out AGA and put out a graphics chipset that could rival SVGA.
Well, they were trying to when you got to think when a Commodore flopped over, they had a lot of stuff that was in the process of being developed, like the AAA chipset or whatever was being developed that was going to be much better, all right? But it had been developed for a while, but the way Commodore died, everything just sort of slowed to a stop, and then it just. So when all these SCOM, these guys picked up Commodore, and you're thinking, okay, these guys are gonna pick this stuff back up. They did nothing. They didn't do anything. All SCOM did was release some 4000s and some make much more 1200s, and that's it. And Gateway, less said about that, the better. They didn't do nothing. So I mean, they died on the vine. And I suppose if one wanted, one could conceivably. I mean, there are video cards for the Amiga.
Oh yeah,
but it's nothing that helps the old Amigas. Short of
what
a
it does
is
it just boosts the resolution.
Right, but I mean, there's nothing that like what I'm thinking. Like, if you're an old computer guy, you had CGA, VGA, Tandy 16 graphics, and you had and you could get a better card.
Well, but the games themselves have to be written to support that
and so that ship has sailed.
Right.
You had to get a whole. So if we're going forward, and so if they ever decide to adopt a formal architecture, like, and it had to be industry wide, all right, that you could build on. Let's say the new, just for fun, let's say the new Vampire standalone. Mm-hmm. There's your new Amiga, okay, just for fun. I'm not endorsing or not endorsing it. And everybody says, okay, we're going to make our games to this standard, all right. The problem, of course, that's an FPGA, so really that gives you a lot more leeway. If they had something in the middle, like the ZX Next is a good example where they did that. Mm-hmm. I mean, theoretically,
that's what they've done with the ZX.
That's right.
Next.
These people agreed. They're going to be the next one. And the difference in that is no one was making a bunch of ZX stuff. It's not like the Amiga. I mean, it was dead as a doornail. Then they just did this. Mm-hmm. So, but now there's a lot of people competing for the attention of the owners and the fans, and so it makes it a lot more difficult, But if they could ever agree on something, you could do stuff like that. But yeah, you're not going to put a AAA card in your Amiga 1200 and make games look better. Right. Unfortunately, that's right. Good. Okay, well, you ready to rock and roll?
All right, let's do it.
Let me bring up Dreamcatchers. Oh heck, I know it. You're going to bring it up on the screen, right? I read his article today, so this was another one near and dear. Let me turn my ringer off. Yes. Outstanding. Oh. Are you refreshed now? You ready to rock and roll?
Yeah. Can I tell you a funny story about my compression socks?
You can.
What do you know about toe boxes?
I don't know anything about toe boxes or compression socks. Okay. Except old people wear them.
Listen, man. Don't knock compression socks.
I didn't say that. I said old people wear them.
When you're on your feet all day, you need extra support. That's all I'm saying.
Well, sounds good to me, old man. And pregnant people. Thank you, Edwin. He chimed in.
See, I knew there was a reason why we didn't start the show. Forgot to turn off the dehumidifier.
What's going on, Edwin? I want to go back and read these comments as we were chatting here. Ooh, VCF Midwest. Ooh, boy.
VCF Midwest. Did that already happen?
No, this weekend.
Oh.
Where is that show? Do we know? You know, the problem. We're not near the East or the Midwest.
No.
We're in the middle of nowhere.
That's exactly right.
That should be the name of the show.
I've got a friend from Germany that's coming to visit me at the end of this month.
Oh yeah.
And yeah.
Amiga fan?
No, she's. I met her on the Great Wall. Actually, we were on the same tour.
Oh.
And but she's coming with her boyfriend and their daughter, and she's like, "What are some things that we can do around where you live?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Listen, nothing.
No, wait a minute. When's she coming?
The end of this month.
Oh, end of the month. That's too bad.
Or it's the end of October. I'm sorry.
Oh. I'll look around.
Okay.
If she was coming this weekend, you'd be laughing. Next weekend.
AEW.
My Mothman's next weekend.
Oh yeah, that's
why. That's why Luke's birthday got bumped.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. But anyway, it's the same thing we talk about all the time. To get anywhere that's worth getting to from here, you're driving hours and hours. It's still in West Virginia, but then you've got to drive back. And
yeah, someone on our Discord mentioned a really good place to eat. And someone in West Virginia, and I was like, oh, and they'd heard of this town. I looked, and it was at the tip, as far away from here as it could possibly be.
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
I need to get this ready and this ready.
Hey, Wishbone.
And get rid of that. Get rid of that.
I slightly moved your logo. Someone complained that
what do you think?
it was messing up the luchador picture.
I was gonna say, well, yeah. What do you think of that?
I hate you.
It's the best.
I've been wanting that for the whole time, and there's no poster for me.
Whenever I walk down here, it's the first thing I see. I just smile and I go about my business.
It's the best.
Yeah.
I believe that's Blue Demon in that fedora.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to look him up. Okay. There we go. This is normally over here.
Ah.
Okay. Get ready.
I wore my throwback shirt today.
I like it.
Yeah.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Amigos. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about Beneath a Steel Sky.
A what sky?
Listen, man. Listen, man.
I didn't say a word.
This is going to be a long show when you get into the pronunciation.
You can't pronounce steel? It's not like it's not like you're saying Hassenpfeffer. This is steel. It's one syllable.
You're right. I'm an idiot.
Well, that's not what I mean. Go on with your stick.
I can't even remember what we're talking about.
Oh man, Beneath a Steel Sky.
Beneath a Steel Sky. Aaron, why do you think apocalyptic fiction is so popular?
I think basically we're all getting ready for it. And so
Is this like looking forward to Christmas morning?
Well, I mean, it's coming. We might as well see what's going to happen. Mm-hmm. When I was a young fellow in my early days of role playing, there was a game called role playing game from TSR. In fact, the Fallout franchise is based on it, and it was a post-apocalyptic game, and it was fun. And I remember it was called Gamma World. What it was called, and you role played in the future, and that from there to like stuff like Car Wars to.
Car Wars?
Car Wars is another futuristic.
That's not real.
That's a real game. We used to play. It was like a strategy role-playing game. You used to play. You got your cars souped up. You had a race to kill everybody.
Like a demolition derby.
Well, sorta. Yeah, kinda. It's more like Interstate 76. That's
a gas station, isn't it?
That's a game. That was an old PC game.
What was that place that's over there where the Bridge Street Bistro is now? Didn't that used to be a 76?
There was one.
Yeah.
That I think they're gone. It's something fascinating about being or existing or at least looking into a dystopian or post-apocalyptic world. And I think people enjoy drawing parallels between what's happening there and what's happening currently. I don't know if they enjoy that, but I mean, it's inevitable that you would. I don't think this game's particular world is so odd that I don't necessarily see any direct comparisons, but in stuff like movies and TV, me and Teresa watched this show called The Last Man on Earth. It was on Fox a couple years ago. You ever heard of that one? And the premise was this guy's the last man on Earth, and we watched to see what that'd be like.
Did he end up breaking his glasses at the end?
No.
And he couldn't...
What ended up happening was he wasn't the last man on Earth. There was a whole flock of people because this is a TV show, and it got lame. There's another great movie from Australia called The Quiet Earth. You ever seen that?
Is it like The Good Earth? Pearl S. Buck?
It's nothing like that. And in this particular movie, again, something happens. Everyone's dead. This guy slowly goes mad. So I like that kind of stuff. You get
What about that Will
flavor.
Smith movie?
Well,
where he was the last man
the
on Earth?
novel that's based on was tremendous. That Will Smith movie is garbage.
But he had his dog with him.
Will Smith, and I'm sure I've mentioned this, he enjoys making movies just to make me angry.
He had to kill his dog.
Oh, listen, I don't care about his stupid dog.
His dog was turning into a zombie.
Listen, I want a written apology from Will Smith. That's what I want for all the trouble he's caused me. Just for Wild Wild West, he should apologize.
It's a wonderful film.
It's horrible. You're just trying to yank my chain.
I've never seen it.
Yeah, there is an interesting fascination with the post-apocalyptic
You know what
stuff.
I think?
What?
Lazy.
What do you mean?
It's the easiest thing in the world to write a post-apocalyptic novel, film, or TV show. Everything's horrible, yet still somehow society manages to hang on by a thread. This is what happens. I mean, it's I can understand in the 60s when it was the atomic age, people feared the bomb and stuff. Okay, this is the birth of this genre. It's something new. In the past, the future was always bright, and now the future is not so bright. But it's the same story retold time and again, over and over again. But people love it. They can't get enough of it, so people keep writing. They keep making movies because people love this stuff.
I have to say, I love it. I think it's very interesting. But you're right. It is a real easy path. I mean, you could put zombies there. You could put cannibals there.
Well, that's another thing.
You can put robots
You can
in
put
there.
whatever you want there. It's very, very easy.
Yeah.
You and I could write a post-apocalyptic screenplay right here on the show in real time.
It would, perhaps.
It would be better than most of the things that are out there.
It'd be horribly bad. But, I dig that stuff. I mean, I'll go see it. Hey, I love Zombieland is another one of those I like. And Last Man on Earth with Vincent Price was really good. There have been plenty of those. And some are garbage. And plenty of B movies, too, because it's also a cheap way to make a film. Just drive out to the desert, put up a couple of shacks, you're done.
Absolutely.
So,
just look at Mad Max. That's
Mad
what they did.
Max, perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good point.
So let's talk about this week, Aaron. What's been going on in the world of Amiga news?
All right, what do you got?
Okay, well, we got a couple stories this week. It hasn't been the biggest week in the world, but we do have a new update for Amiga Forever that's just been released. Now, as you know, frequent listeners of the show, I don't use Amiga Forever very much, but Aaron, you do use Amiga Forever quite a bit, and you were the mastermind behind our Amiga Forever for Dummies video, which is one of our most popular videos of all time.
Too bad it's so blurry. That was before we really had figured out what we were doing.
Yeah.
I saw that this had popped, and I'd say I've not got to look at the new version yet. I was too busy fooling with the actual Amiga this week, but I'm looking forward to this. I will say I do also like their C64 package, which I believe that one get updated as well.
Yes, there's a new C64 Forever too.
Colando's always been nice to us.
Mm-hmm.
I will say they have supported us.
And Mike's a heck of a nice guy.
Yeah, both met Mike personally. Despite what the political side of things, I think this is a pretty. I think it's a pretty tight package. We've always had trouble. In fact, I talked to Lafarius about this. We've always had trouble capturing footage from. It's always been sort of a hassle, hasn't it? Now you gave this a whirl, didn't you? Did you try capturing footage with the new version?
Well, yeah, I had no problems, but what I had to do was I had to use display capture in OBS, and now we're going to go into inside baseball here with how Open Broadcaster software works. But there is a way to do it, and it's not very difficult.
Okay, but I mean, I guess my question is, has it improved over the last version, or did it ever?
I never used it. I'm an FSUAE man.
There you go.
Born and bred.
Well, there you go. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking over here without going too deep into what they've done to it. But there was room for
A
improvement.
lot
on
of
the
the
last
things,
version.
a lot of the things that they did, I can give you just a quick rundown.
Great.
There's a lot of new keyboard overlays. You can actually pop up a keyboard of various sizes at any time and kind of
Nice.
have it hover there. And then there's new CD drive controls for the CD TV, so you can get I guess a better pause play button going on there. Of course, the CD TV did ship with a controller too, didn't it? I'm pretty sure it did.
It had a remote control.
Okay.
But I don't know if it had.
You don't
a
have
remote.
it at like a
It also had,
D-pad
I think
type
it had a
operation.
remote. I think it had a remote D-pad, but I don't remember if it came with it or not. You know, boy, I'd like to have one of those. But I mean, they're pointless. They're
Yeah.
utterly pointless.
Yeah, I mean, you think the CD32 is a useless piece of garbage. Just
I
think
don't
about the
think
same-
that.
Oh.
I think that's more useful now than it's ever been. But yeah, I'll look into that more and report back. By the time this time next week, I'll have a better grasp of the new stuff.
This is a thing that just popped up on my Facebook feed this evening. If you are over in the Australia country, there is an Amiga get-together called Amiga Retro Brisbane.
Oh man, yeah.
Okay, this is the ARB Balimba meetup.
Check out the guy's name.
Mark G. Falconer.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
Falconer.
awesome. That's awesome. So there's a couple people that are signed up for this thing already. If you want to attend, make sure you go on over to this Facebook page that you see on the screen before you. And if you're listening in audio, just search for ARB Balimba Meetup. All you down under, convene on Brisbane.
Yeah, somebody, if any of our buddies go down, shoot some pictures at least for us and stick up there. It'd be kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, Aaron, I hate to say it, but that's all the news I've got this week. It was sort of a quiet week in the world of the Amiga.
Hey, it happens. Summer is winding down, and I suspect that the big news will be forthcoming in the next month or two.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Aaron, let's talk about this week's Dreamcatcher article.
Now, I gotta say, this is another one that I have some knowledge on, which is he has done an article here on the video game stylings and the movie stylings of Howard the Duck. Now, have you ever seen this film?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Now I was afraid of Howard the Duck as a child.
You should be. He was a weird-looking, bizarre creature.
This is another one of those examples, like we were talking about the Dark Crystal on Discord. You go in with a certain expectation of your animatronic beast being sort of a fun-loving, carefree dude. And Howard the Duck was sort of a hard-boiled egg, if you know what I'm saying.
Well, I see what you did there. Now, have you ever read the comic?
I didn't know there was a comic.
Marvel had a Howard the Duck comic for a long time, and it was a weird underground hit.
Okay, is it like a Harry Crumb type thing?
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just a bizarre. It's a very unusual.
Or is
hard
it
to
George Crumb?
Hard, no, you.
Who's Harry? That's that Candy movie, right?
Crumb is the guy that does all the kind of
weird comic stuff.
comics. Yeah. This was an offbeat, sort of counterculture humored comic book starring this alien duck. All right. Now, how this got a movie made is baffling, and a movie that predates some of the huge superhero movies like your Spider-Mans and stuff. And think about it, Howard the Duck is getting a movie. I remember when I heard this, I couldn't believe it because no one I knew read this comic, and I would occasionally, and Howard the Duck would pop up in other comics too.
Yeah.
He existed within the continuity of Marvel.
It was the MCU from the 80s.
Yeah, he was. He would come around, and he would have team ups and stuff. But he was just kind of this wisecracking, cigar smoking idiot character. And so, somewhat over there, and of all places, like you got Lucas and that gang are.
This was like a Spielberg, Lucas, it was all the big names.
It was a big.
I think Ron Howard was there.
It was a big
the
movie.
Fonz.
And I read, it's funny, Dreamcatcher mentions that Lucas had hoped that the proceeds of this movie would fund his ranch being built. Didn't happen. He also goes into the fact that that the movie was $37 million to make, and it made $38 million. And you know, after all the other extra crap that goes into it, they lost a bundle.
I will say this was probably the best animatronics in a movie until the first Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movie.
That is funny. He actually looked, it looked creepy.
Yeah. But it looked better than your Showbiz Pizza type.
It looked better than like midget in suit.
Yes.
You know, like that sort of thing, but not much better.
Like Willow.
Now, it did have Leah Thompson coming off of her role in Back to the Future, always thought she was super cutie, and that was probably the highlight of this film was her being just looking hot and being in it. But that's that's when you pay full price for that ticket. I don't know if that's going to cut it.
Now, did you see this in the theater? when it
Oh
was
God,
released?
no,
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 you gave it a miss.
absolutely not. This was someone gave me a copy of a videotape, and on one bored night, I sat down and watched this. I was like, my God, this is the worst, and it gets real weird. It's
there's some interspecies
romance.
Yeah.
Let's go there.
Yeah.
But of course, that that he was the same way in the comics. But anyway, Dreamcatcher, who I never could have fathomed that they would have made home release games off this movie. But Dreamcatcher, and this has got to be right up his alley. If you picked an article for the DK to put down, here it is. And so he goes into the actual the offerings here after he recounts what's in the movie.
I think there was a song, like I want to say the end credits. There was a song called Howard the Duck.
Howard the Duck,
Right.
he's about to get plucked. I remember the lyrics of
yeah.
some of them. Yeah, it's crap.
Yeah.
And who knows who they got to sing this. This has got to be Tim Robbins' worst film. He's been all his good movies. This
Who's
was
Tim Robbins?
Timothy Robbins. That's his name right there, isn't it? Tim Robbins.
Oh. What else was he in?
He was in Shawshank Redemption. Hudsucker No, nothing. Never heard of him.
Hudsucker. Sounds like a horror film.
He was in Bull Durham.
I want to see that. I've never seen it, but I want to see
that?
it. I want to see it.
My God.
I
And you
love
call
baseball
yourself a
movies.
baseball
I know.
fan?
I know. It's supposed to be a good Christmas film.
He was in Jacob's Ladder. He's been in a ton of good movies, but this was eerily. He must have been high as a kite. And apparently, a lot of actresses looked to get into this movie before they picked. So which is
if you look at the names behind it, Spielberg, Lucas.
Well,
I mean,
listen.
they thought it was going to be the next Star Wars.
And he even goes into who won the Razzies in this. The Razzies, the worst film awards, and this was, I think it got 7 nominations and won like 4. So yeah, it was an absolute disaster. So you can imagine how good the games are. I'll just leave it at that. But another good article by DK. I suggest you check this out, especially if you're either into Howard the Duck or I don't know, maybe just curious.
Howard Curious.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about if you were going to rank your animated ducks? Who's at the top?
He's
of the
at
list?
the bottom. I can tell you that right now. Well, it's a tough race because there's a couple real. You got obviously Donald Duck and his ilk. Scrooge McDuck.
Well, I would rank those as different.
Right, but I'm saying that
entities.
Disney guys. But then you got Daffy Duck out there. He's awful good.
So I'm asking you to.
I guess you'd have to. That's a tough choice. I have to think about that. I think I've seen more Donald Duck's. I think Daffy Duck's funny. It's funnier than Donald, but Donald's pretty funny too. I'd say it's a tie for first. I'm going to cop out, and then everyone else is bring up the
Last.
rear. Yeah, because I never watched DuckTales or that crap.
Hey,
I'm-
DuckTales is great.
Listen, I didn't watch it, man. Duckula. There's another one I didn't rank.
Yeah.
I didn't like that show either, to be honest with you.
You don't like a lot of British stuff, so I don't.
I do like a lot of
that.
British stuff, but I didn't like Duckula. I'm more of a Danger Mouse guy myself, whom I also didn't like. But I liked it more than Duckula. Sorry. Yeah, Donald. That's what makes Donald. Donald has a temperament that I enjoy.
Yeah.
I lived a very similar person to Donald.
You are
for
just
many
constantly.
years.
You're just babbling incoherently at a loud volume.
Not me. I said I lived with someone that's a lot like Donald.
Oh, okay.
The temperament of Donald. So there you go. What about you? Who do you rank up there?
Well,
Duck-wise.
I'm gonna go with probably with the. I really like Scrooge McDuck. I think he's a cool character.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, he's diving into his money. But I like the way he dresses. He's snazzy. I also like Glumgold, who is that's Scrooge McDuck's arch nemesis.
So we're gonna go deep into the DuckTales.
Well, I'm ranking
roster
them,
here.
I'm ranking them in order.
God.
I don't
over Daffy. You're gonna rank these people?
Yeah, I put both those over Daffy, but then
that's an age thing.
I put Daffy third. What are you talking about? These comics are as old as the hills.
Right, but DuckTales is it?
DuckTales was a comic for years and years and years before.
Did you read the comic?
No, but that's beside the point.
Okay, I'm saying for you, I think it's generational. I grew up watching Daffy Duck. He was funny. I didn't see that much of Scrooge. Scrooge only appeared on occasionally in like a Disney short or something, very rarely.
Yeah.
Huey, Dewey, and Louie. I saw more of them, but mostly Donald.
Yeah, I put Donald third, or I put Daffy third.
Behind who?
Okay.
Who was the second
Scrooge.
guy? Yeah.
Glumgold.
You're telling me that that Daffy ranks behind a guy I've never heard of?
Glumgold is Scottish. Okay.
Is that Scrooge McDuck's like cousin?
It's his cousin.
I knew it.
Yep. Okay.
How original.
Then you've got Daffy third, Donald fourth. Donald's no good. He's no good.
No. Donald's great. You just ranked, then you say you ranked him third or those fourth?
Fourth. He's last.
Why do you hate him?
Because he's no. I mean, he's not.
Have you ever seen that bit where Donald tries to open that folding beach chair? That's comedy gold. No?
No.
How about the one where he's got the bear gets in the house on Halloween? A gorilla, excuse me. It's a gorilla that gets in the house.
I'm really looking forward to the launch of Disney Plus so I can catch up on all these classic shorts. Honestly, I haven't seen anything. The thing I remember are I like all the goofy shorts where it's like how to ski and stuff like that.
Those are good.
Those are, yeah.
You know, the problem is, here's the problem with this Disney Plus thing. It's more money for Disney. These guys already own everything. They've bought every conceivable thing. You know, now we got to give them more money.
Why not? Just hand it to them.
I don't care that much about old Disney properties. I can watch whatever I want. But Teresa and Luke want it, so
I want it
I'll
too.
be getting it. I'll be paying Disney more money.
Maybe they're going to buy the WWE. They rolled the network into that.
I wouldn't take that loss. That's for darn sure.
Let's talk about, speaking of taking a loss, let's talk about this week's game.
Taking
Beneath
a
the Steel
loss.
Sky.
This thing actually did quite well. Thank you very much. I looked up the numbers.
Really?
Yeah.
I thought this would lose money hand over
No,
fist.
incorrect, sir.
Okay.
Absolutely
well, you'll have
wrong.
to fill me in.
Absolutely wrong. So, Beneath the Steel Sky, you'd heard of this one before this week, buddy?
I have.
Had you played this one
No.
before this week?
In fact, it's kind of funny. I'd heard of it, but really I hadn't, because anytime you said Beneath the Steel Sky, I thought you were talking about a different game called Alternate Reality: The City.
Nope. I never heard of that.
That got the Atari 8-bit port.
Well, so this could never have made it on the 8-bits, I'm afraid.
No.
So, Beneath the Steel Sky, I had played this one, by the way. Released in '94. Now, this one, you had two flavors of this on the Amiga. You had the ECS, OCS disc version. Then you had the CD32 CD version. Now, if you were going the disc route, 15 flopperoos here. 15 of those.
That's got to be the record.
I
think that's more than Monkey Island 2.
That's a lot. 15 discs. And the funny thing is, I got about a third of the way to, maybe not that far, almost a third of the way to the game this week, which is further than I've ever been. I will say that. I was proud of myself, actually, because, again, these aren't my bag. And I watched, I was like, I got to see how this thing ends. I've been waiting for years to see what the heck happened. So I went ahead and watched the whole run of the game, someone playing it. And it went about 5.5 hours, I think, to play. And this is someone.
It's less than that.
No, this is someone that knew exactly what to do.
The playthrough we're watching right now is 2.5 hours.
Well, the one I watched was
he must
long.
have been dawdling around.
Yeah, maybe he did. So, but anyway, I guess what I'm saying is, for that amount of time, there didn't seem to be a whole lot of stuff going on in terms of like new places to go. I mean, there's some obviously, but it's not like you're hopping planets or 15 discs is a lot. I'm assuming it's all artwork.
Yeah.
Almost all of it's artwork. So now this came out from an outfit called Revolution.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, I didn't even know who this was. To be honest with you, I'd forgotten who developed this, but I'm sure you remember some of these titles, including King's Quest 6. Air today, gone tomorrow. Mm-hmm. Have you played that one, the 6th one?
Yeah.
Is that the one that was the lady worked on? Was that one?
Well, Roberta Williams did.
No, I mean the lady. Oh, yes, you're not on ARG. When we did Gabriel Knight, the lady that did that one had worked on one of the King's Quest. I think it was.
Okay.
I think it may have been that one. Also, Revolution on the Amiga was responsible for Lure of the Temptress, which I've not ever played that.
Revolution, they did a lot of work for Sierra. They ported a lot of those games to non-computer systems. In fact, there was a port of King's Quest V for the Nintendo, for the regular Nintendo.
Oh, yeah?
And Revolution did that.
This also got a release on DOS, which I did remember that. And I've actually, a couple years ago, Good Old Games gave away that. I've actually got the DOS version on the hard drive.
This was one of the early issues of Retro Gamer. They gave this away on the cover disc. This is back when Retro Gamer had cover discs.
Oh, really? And they gave it away.
And they gave it away.
What a deal, eh? This also got a release on the iOS platform in 2009. It's kind of neat. It makes sense, doesn't it? Now, I'm not going to go over everyone that worked on this because it was a ton of people.
This is really we talk about this. There was a tipping point in which you couldn't get by anymore being a 2 or 3 man or 3 person development team.
Yeah.
You're starting to employ tons and tons of people on these releases.
Now, the main 2 guys behind this particular title were a fellow named Charles Cecil and comic book artist Dave Gibbons. Now, him I knew because he worked on the Watchmen miniseries, which is one of the all-time classic comic book miniseries. Of course, made into the film and apparently has now been made into a series.
Really?
Which I haven't watched. I believe it's on HBO.
Okay.
And I don't know how or what that's all about. And I'm sure that it is done without the blessing of the Watchmen.
Alan
folks.
White and
Alan who? No, his name is what is his name? It's Alan Moore.
Alan Moore.
He loves hate and hates everything
Who's
else.
the other guy? Maybe the other guy's last name was White. I want to say, or maybe Alan White's a different guy. Maybe he was the keyboardist in Yes.
Yeah,
for a while.
I don't know. I don't know where you're going there. So. That's a pretty heavy-duty player to bring in to help along with this game, and so those 2 guys were the big players behind this title. So what is this title? It's a point-and-click adventure game, my favorite, as you know, and set in sort of a bizarre, I guess we'll call it a futuristic. I don't know if it's ever made clear that it's Earth, or I don't remember ever reading if it was actually.
Oh, I don't think that they ever come out and say this is Earth.
Yeah.
But I think that you're supposed to sort of infer that this is an Earth-like planet.
Yeah, I suppose you're right. So you play a fellow who has grown up in a place called the Gap.
That's true. Tara K did. We have to interrupt the show because the comic that comes with this book. Are you going to talk about the comic that comes with this book? This book came with a comic book.
Yeah, a comic. It's like a couple pages.
This game came with a comic book, yeah, and it does set the game in Australia.
Okay.
Yeah, and so they're.
It's funny because I looked over the comic. I don't even remember reading that.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at a picture of it. The comic, I think it had was it 2 pages of comic book that came with it?
I don't know how many.
I would love to have this boxed, but we'll get into why later that it won't ever happen. It's unlike last week's game where I went ahead and bought it. I'm not going to be doing that to this one. So anyway, you play the role of a guy named Rob Foster, who basically grew up in this area outside of the cities called the Gap.
The Gap.
And
it's like that
the
store
woods.
in the mall. I mean, the woods.
It's exactly like the store in the mall. And so, in this land, in this era, basically, cities have become almost like competing corporations. Stop me when this doesn't make any sense to you.
I was going to say it's like
Almost
Shadowrun or every other thing that's like this.
And basically, all the people that inhabit the city are basically working for whatever they're making or whatever they're doing. And
I don't know what that sentence means.
I mean, like the city is a producer of goods, like a corporation, like a big corporation.
So it's like a mine town, like a coal town.
Sorta, yeah. And so you've got a competing town, the next town over, and you're competing with them in some marketplace with their product, basically. Does that make any sense to you? And so the government of the town is pressing you and pressing everyone there to, produce effectively. So that's what they do. Everybody has a job. So, and the comic book explains this. So Robert Foster, who lives in the Gap, people come to the Gap with his a family out there, kill them all, throw him in a chopper, and they're taking him back to this town. And as they're coming back, the chopper blows up basically, or gets something happens to the chopper, gets disabled, and it crashes in the middle of town. And when you start the game, you are on the run from the authorities, and you start the game in this factory and try to figure out what to do, and that's how the game starts. Now, I can tell you when I started this game years ago, I remember, hand to God, I remember downloading 15 discs of this bad boy back in the day. No easy task, and I remember loading up the first disc and watching the intro, and the intro is sort of it starts off with this really artfully done shot of this future city, and it's just what you would expect.
It looks like every future city that's ever been painted.
And it looked good. It looked really good. And your little animated chopper goes down, and then the next scene is you inside of a factory listening to a guard talk to a factory worker about this fugitive that's on the loose, and you're hiding up in like
every outhouse, penthouse, and hen house.
Yeah.
And
so your job, at least early on, is just to not get captured, to avoid the authorities. And so you've got to use your point and click skills to try to find things to help you along on this mission. I mean, it's pretty standard fare, isn't it, for this sort of...
It's exactly what you'd expect.
So, again, you having never ever played this before, what did you think initially with the graphics, the presentation, and the interface?
Well, you got to think about, when was this game made? This is a game from '94.
Yeah.
Okay. Things had gotten pretty good by this point. Graphics were looking pretty good. If we're talking about sprite pixel art type games, we'd almost reached sort of the zenith. We were at the pinnacle. Everything was detailed. Everything looked great. If you look at the Sierra games from this time period, LucasArts games from this time period, they all look sort of the same. So I wasn't overly wowed by the graphics. I mean, they look comparable to other releases from the day. I'm not saying they look bad. I'm just saying that, like, it wasn't like these guys were pushing the envelope. They look good. They look good. The very first puzzle in this game, you have to locate an iron rod. Mm-hmm. The iron rod is exactly the same color as all the other junk that's in the room that you're in. So you're immediately into pixel hunt mode. Okay? I searched around for this thing forever and had to use a walkthrough for the first puzzle, the very first puzzle, because I didn't know what to do. I was, what I started to do, I just grabbed my mouse and I was going, whoop, whoop, back and forth, and I couldn't find it. I missed it on my first go through. Then I looked at the walkthrough and I was like, locate the iron rod, and immediately I was turned off. Okay. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of the games that don't identify what you need. They hide it and they make you mouse over camouflage sections in the room to tell you what it is. So already, right out of the gate, I didn't like this game. However, there were things that happened later on that started to grow on me a little bit. But anyway, continue.
It's funny, but first of all, you mentioned that this could have been a LucasArts game. The font, the way the text appears. It looks straight out of it's just like a Monkey Island. Yeah. It's exactly the same. It's almost like they were. I don't like to say it's exactly there. Like, I guess they're just like, okay, here's what these games have text.
Well, they took what the biggest best-selling games were doing, and they applied it to their story.
Now, I will say, I did play this, like I said, when it came out, and I will say, after downloading 15 discs, I don't think I ever got off disc 2. Back in the day, but I didn't remember anything about it, and I was able to get past the early part of this game pretty easy. I didn't have any trouble finding the rod.
Well, like, okay, for example, there's another puzzle, like one of the puzzles that happens just a couple minutes later. You have to race the technician into the room and do something before he gets there.
I hate that.
Yeah. And again,
I hated that, yeah.
I hate, like, pick what genre you want to be. Do you want to be an action game? Okay. Do you want to be a thinking game? Whenever
that's the spot right there we're actually looking at.
Yeah, I hate that.
Yes.
And this is what a lot of these later adventure games, especially the Sierra games, made you do. They incorporated timing, and when I'm thinking about a choice, I want to think about it. And this, it's frustrating. And so at that point, that's when I started using the walkthrough.
That puzzle angered me, and and what really made me mad, not to give away all the secrets, but I guess this is early in the game. You have what he's talking about is there's a handyman. You have to get into his cupboard, and inside the cupboard is a spanner and a sandwich, and you have to go off one screen. And keep in mind, I was playing this on disc, okay, effectively, and so I had to go off the screen, walk to a point where you would activate this alarm that would make the handyman go over there. Then you have to run back to the other screen and get the sandwich or get the spanner. And so I had to try this like 5 or 6 times or more, and every time just wait and wait and wait. I'm like, oh my God. And so finally I got the spanner, and I didn't even bother getting the sandwich. Well, then I found out later you need the sandwich.
Yeah.
I was like, oh man.
Yeah,
you know?
and you can't get. It's not like you can just walk back to it
But
and
I
get
mean,
it.
this is a crime that almost all these games are sort of guilty of. This kind
It's
of
the
stuff.
Sierra
not,
games. It's not. That's the thing that the LucasArts games did right. Is they never made a puzzle impossible to solve.
That said, and that was, I would say that particular point, that was the most annoying thing I came across. I will say that was by far, and because it just, and the thing is, I don't even mind the puzzle, but you have to make it that close.
Mm-hmm.
You can give the guy, because there are other points in the game where you're waiting for stuff to happen, and they're darn sure not in a hurry when that stuff happens. You're waiting for some guy to come down an elevator or something. It could take a couple minutes. Why can't we give me a minute here to get this stuff? Don't make me rush that quick.
Right.
So anyway, this is your typical game where you point to where you want your guy to go. The interface on this is, I will say, this is my kind of interface. It's not there. I mean, you literally don't see any interface unless you move your mouse up to your inventory, which is fine by me. That's what I like. So right there you get marks because you get a nice full screen with beautiful art. And what they've done is they've taken this beautiful art and they've put in some animated elements. It's just pretty standard stuff, but they do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you're in a room with like a machine room, there'll be a machine movement and maybe there'll be some movement on the computer screens or something like that. Eventually you've got a little robot that rolls around with you. That he'll just kind of screw around the background when you're doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't have any problem with that. Like I said, graphically top shelf. I think this is about one of the prettiest games I've seen on the Amiga. I listened to the voice CD. I didn't play the CD32 version, but I did watch some of the playthrough with the CD32 version on, and I definitely preferred it without the voices. I will say that I'm assuming you played that version.
I played the version without the voices,
okay.
but I watched the majority of the playthrough with the voices.
What did you think of the voices?
I'll tell you what. Compared to the sort of random capitalization of words in the dialogue,
yeah,
I'll take the voices any day. Not to mention the version that I played without the voices had no background music. And these games. This game without background music in the first room that you're in. You remember the first room you're in?
Yeah.
It's got that crusher, in there.
Oh yeah.
And
all you hear.
Kah,
yeah.
Kah. So when you play the CD32 version, you actually get background music. And the music's quite good. I enjoyed the music. I think that this game is two competing visions. You've got this dystopian, depressing, corporate-driven future world, and you've got kind of silly mechanics. You've got your wacky robot sidekick,
Yeah.
and you've got your and you've got kind of funny, punny dialogue.
Yes. They very, very again sort of a playoff on the Monkey Island stuff.
Yeah.
What kind of wacky?
To me,
These games also have a lot of wacky dialogue. It's
Yeah.
something we see over and over.
Yeah. To me, that's a good thing. I think there's a lot of people that wish this game was more serious, that wish it was, more gritty. But to me, this is almost like if Terry Gilliam made a point-and-click adventure game. Have you ever seen Brazil?
Long ago.
Okay.
Long ago.
This really reminded me a lot of Brazil. Of course, I love Terry Gilliam. It's so ultra depressing, the setting and everything, but the events that happen in this game are just so weird and wacky. It's charming. I found it to be charming. That said, once I got to that point where I couldn't figure out that timed-based thing, I stopped playing the game and just watched playthroughs.
Oh, you quit? That's where you quit.
That's where I quit.
So that's pretty early.
I enjoyed watching this game, and the puzzles didn't seem like they were that difficult. I mean, there were no, at least that I could see as I was watching the player run through the puzzles, nothing seemed too overly esoteric. And I really enjoyed like you said, you don't go to a lot of different planets or stuff, but there
You don't
are
go to any.
right, but there are a lot of different settings. There are a lot of different.
There's different areas of the building and stuff.
And so I don't think that all of the 12 discs were just graphics or whatever. I think that there is a good amount of content here, and I think that the cast of characters that you meet are all kind of colorful. It's Monkey Island-ish in that way. And you know your robot sidekick is always quipping, you know, and saying different things at the end of the game. Did you watch the full thing?
Mm-hmm,
So
did.
you know that your
Spoiler
robot.
alert.
Yeah, spoiler alert. Your robot, it gets injected into some sort of a gelatinous human form that allows you to complete the game. What I thought was funny, I watched another YouTuber review this, and I should have written down her name because I wanted to quote her, but. At the end of the game, it says, "I look like Ken." You know, the Joey, the robot. He says, "I look like." Or your player gives him the name Ken, and he says, "Are there any Kens that I can emulate?" And he's like, "I don't know. Ken's kind of a loser name." And she thought it was because Ken Williams was one of the Sierra guys, and it was sort of a jab at the competition. But it turns out that wasn't true. But I thought, man, that would be an ice burn if it was.
You know, I disagree with some of what you said. I actually do wish this was more serious.
Really?
I think there's a really interesting game here and an interesting story. And this game is, I mean, you did call it right. It's like 2 games. But when you're putting a guy like Monkey Island, that can be wacky. The whole game is wacky. This game, early on, the guy that's pursuing you gets chopped in half. Mm-hmm. Okay? I mean, in a bloody pulp. Mm-hmm. You find another girl that you're working with stuffed in a locker after she's been irradiated. Right? So it's not like that ain't funny. that's not good at all. What annoys me is the funny things that are in it are pretty funny. Mm-hmm. So it's not like all the humor misses. It's just I'd rather not have the humor. Just get that out. I want a gritty. And listen,
play that game where your profile takes up half the space on the screen.
Yes,
that's your gritty dystopian future.
I mean, this could be that. Hey, listen.
It would be horrible.
I love Neuromancers, and even Neuromancer, the game does the exact same thing.
God, that game is dry as the desert.
It's wacky. It does wacky stuff that I don't like. I want a serious game. I don't mind an occasional, robot quip now and again, but I would like.
Who doesn't?
There's all these long dialogue trees with these wacky characters.
It's a point-and-click adventure.
I know. I would like to have something more adult, to be honest with you, and less silly. I guess. I mean, I love silly. I love it. I'm Mr. Wacky. But this, I would like to have had just the seriousness, because what he's doing is pretty serious. I mean, these guys want to kill him, and when you get further into the plot, I don't want to give away the total ending. But I mean, it gets really freaking serious. I mean, there's murder. There's a lot of stuff that was hidden to this guy. He finds out about his parents. He finds out about his past, and it gets dark and weird.
And the music also sort of belies that too. And again, I like the contrast, but I understand why you wouldn't. But the music is all. There's nothing that sounds like your sort of dystopian kind of drone-ish. I mean, everything is.
Yeah, the music didn't do it.
I mean, it sounds like Scott Joplin.
When I watched the CD version, I was like, "This is no good. I don't like the music." Something else. I mean, okay, here's all this wacky stuff. You got these wacky characters, and then you'll get these long shots of these beautifully rendered factories. They're dirty. They're interesting looking. Or these overviews of the city. That city's not wacky. That's a weird dystopian city. There's a lot of bad news going on down there. It's not funny at all.
Brazil.
And it's not.
You're describing the movie.
But it's not that I didn't get the humor. Mm-hmm. It's that I didn't need the humor. Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm not the only person that
sure,
has said,
absolutely. It's a valid opinion.
Just to get back to the voices for a minute, I read that they hired the actors from the Royal Shakespeare Company to do the voice acting. Did you hear that?
Well, I heard that, and then midway through, they hired a whole new crew because apparently the stage actors were being overly dramatic.
To be fair, they spent 2 days and recorded 5,000 lines of dialogue. Now, listen, that is too much. Can you set aside a week? Mm-hmm. What are we doing here?
Yeah.
And then they had to go hire more guys. I also read that Gibbons, among others, used a multitude of different things to work on this with. They used a Macintosh. They used deluxe paint. They used a bunch of different stuff. It's funny. I listened to an old episode of Retro Hour where they interviewed a guy, and he just so happened to have been one of the animators on this game.
Really? Wow.
And it's funny. He's an astrophysicist. Ironic. I wish I could remember his name, but he ended up getting the job because the revolution was in his town. So He knew a guy. It's like, go down there and bring your
Bring your astrophysicist
resume.
buddy.
And so they hired him. And he drew. In fact, I think he said, as I recall, he said that he was responsible for drawing a lot of the plumes of steam and smoke that come out of the pipes, which you see that quite often in the game. The puzzles, I did not find them very difficult early on, but they got difficult. I mean, and even the one that we were complaining about, I could get past it eventually, but I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It felt out of place. And there were a couple of those timing based. I mean, even there's one where a robot goes and picks up this barrel, and you have to get on this elevator, and you still have to time it right. Not everything, and what makes this game annoying is when you mistime the stuff, it takes forever to get it to go back again. It's just a lot of redundancy when you try to make this stuff work. And it's not like, I mean, in a playthrough, a guy just goes, bloop, and he does it the first time. But when you don't know what you're doing, which I didn't, it got old. You know, stuff would happen. And there were stuff that you could never possibly guess. You know, it drove me bananas. And again, this is another of those games, they're all the same, where the puzzles are sort of nonsensical. You're telling me that I had to steal a sandwich 20 minutes into the game to give a guy an hour and a half into the game? I mean, how the heck are you going to know that?
Right.
You know, that's weird.
Well, you have to take everything in these games.
That's my problem with these games in general. You know, I know they're fun, and people. I mean, it's really the game is just like it's just being a jerk. You know, it's just a jerk thing to do to somebody. To be like, oh man, you didn't get that sandwich.
Right.
Well, you lose. It's like, wait a minute, man, come on, that was an hour and a half ago. You know what? And you can't go back sometimes. You know, I noticed further on in the game. Oh, I'll tell you something else that caught me was there was a wire you were supposed to repair. Okay. And much like you, I didn't even know it because there's some of the things, and this is another thing we see all the time is. Some of the things blend in the background. You don't know that there's something clickable. Now, I read that in newer releases of this, that stuff gets sort of highlighted. So that probably makes, of course, that sort of takes away some of the game, I guess.
Not for me. It would make me play the game.
You know, all that said, when you boil this game down, the story is quite remarkably interesting. I thought it was a really interesting story.
It was a great story.
The world they built here was pretty interesting, you know. And this guy's personal story is it's something I didn't see coming. I will say that when I ended up watching the end of it. So I can't say I don't like it. I do like it, but it's not necessarily my cup of tea. Would I load this up again and play it? I might just advance a little further. But I mean, of course, now I've seen how it ends, so it's kind of pointless. But in these days, it's not known for the replayability.
No.
I don't remember seeing any sort of options or anything. I think it just pretty much, you know, you just play it.
Well, it's a narrative experience.
Right, but I mean, I didn't see where you can make your guy. I don't know if there's any shortcuts to make your guy move across the thing quicker or speed up the way they move.
Oh no, that's part of the thrill is watching your guy shamble across the screen.
Part of it. I mean, he's not super shambly, but you know,
it's like The Living Dead, man.
It takes a while. You mentioned this, I think, and I'll mention it again. In 2011, they released an enhanced soundtrack for this game, and they also released the game, this is where I got it on Good Old Games for Free. So if you want the PC version of this, you can go get it.
I did check out the PC version.
It's pretty close.
It's not.
The version I've got, it's almost exactly the same.
I'm talking graphically. You know, 94. We've talked about this before. Was really the tipping point where you started to see simultaneous releases for the Amiga and the PC.
Oh, you're saying graphically?
Yeah, graphically. The PC had jumped ahead.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is sort of like Syndicate.
Yeah.
It's very similar.
Yeah.
I mean, the Amiga game was there, but I mean, when you've just got it's a simple logic. We can display more colors. We've got more processing power.
Yeah.
There you go. So it is what it is. But I mean, the Amiga graphics are totally fine.
Sure,
I mean, they're
absolutely.
totally fine.
And if you hadn't seen the PC version, you would think this looks the best it can look.
Well, I thought like if you compare this to say Syndicate, which by the way another dystopian sort of game. The graphics jump in that was considerable.
Oh yeah,
especially had those cool intros.
The jump in this is much more subtle.
Yeah, this is much more. It's just like it's better.
It's
just
more
sharper.
colors. Yeah.
But you know, I didn't see anything particularly awesome. All that said, what did you think of this? I mean, are you going to give this the thumbs up? And where does this rank in your pantheon when you do the when you do the Boat Plays Amiga point and click? series. How's this going to rank?
This is up near the top. I mean, I preferred this to Cruise for a Corpse. Although Cruise for a Corpse was more inventive. I enjoyed this sort of game more. This is nowhere near as good as the LucasArts games, just because I like everything about the LucasArts games appeals to me as a person. But I think I prefer this to any of all the Sierra games that I've played, but I've not played a lot of the Space Quest or Police Quest games. So, but I think that this is is sort of this is one of the swan songs of the point and click adventure game on the Amiga, and I think that they left the genre on a high note.
I will say just a couple more things in closing. This game is very Eurocentric. This probably wouldn't play. In fact, the numbers I have here, when they talked about the sales figures on this thing, that it was reported that it was between 300,000 and 400,000 units by July of 2009, and the majority of those, it says, were from European countries. This game is very European.
Well, it's a Virgin game, so
right. I mean, yeah, but I mean that I could see, because you don't hear much about this game here.
Yeah, but it's funny because
this isn't as revered.
Oh no, not at all. I thought that the voice acting, again, it's a weird thing. In the chat, they were talking about, even though this game is set in Australia, no one has an Australian accent.
Yeah.
So I guess that died out in the apocalypse. Your main character has an American accent, and then a lot of the people that you come into contact with have various British accents. So.
I didn't like the voices. In fact, I turned down the voice as I was watching. It's funny. Sometimes I really want the voices, but in this one, I guess because I'd played it a bunch, I'd already come up with the voices in my head, and so
I couldn't get the biggest. And I'll tell you, this is on the honest truth. I hate the fact that they capitalize random words in these sentences. That got under my skin like nothing else. And I was reading online, and I guess they wanted to sort of mimic the comic book convention of doing that. But to me, it's just like, we need to expect the planet. I mean, I heard that in my head, and when I listen to the voices, I can ignore it, and so I wish that they would release a hack that took that out, because that's no good.
You're a grammar snob, clearly.
I
don't give a crap. As long as I can read what they're saying, I don't mind. But I think if you're going to look, even if you just watch this game, it is definitely worth a look just to see the beautiful backgrounds. And you really, I mean, it's going to be hard to sit down and just watch some of this to get the whole story. But if you really sit down, or if they were novelized, I mean, it'd be, you could actually, the story is pretty interesting. You mentioned Cruise for the Corpse on here. I think this is a better game than Cruise for a Corpse, but I think Cruise for a Corpse or something like, It Came from the Desert, which these games were far more gutsy than this. This is not a gutsy game.
No.
It walks the well-trodden path, all right, which it's okay.
Right.
But it is what it is now. Clearly, we're in the minority here, because I've got a little list here of how it did when it was released. It won the 95 PC Gamer Best Dialogue Award, and the dialogue is funny. There's no doubt about that. It got me and Brent, our favorite award, the Golden Joystick. It won that for Best Adventure.
Not the Arky?
No, that's our other favorite. It was number 1 in the British Gallup charts, which that's, I guess that means it's something good. It got good reviews. We should probably go ahead and look at some of the reviews here. The folks over at Lemon, now I looked at this for both versions, and they're actually pretty similar. The ECS version, they gave an 8.52, and the CD32, they gave an 8.61. And I saw across the board, they're pretty similar. On the original disc version, Amiga Computer gave it an 85, Amiga Format gave it a 94, Amiga Power gave it an 86, 80s and 90s. And the CD version, this again, we've mocked this game magazine before, Amiga CD32 Gamer, which they at least got the issue 7. We know that. They gave it a 90. I would have given this a 200 if I was them. 200%. Run out and buy this immediately, and buy 6 CD32s now.
And buy all our back issues.
Yeah. Amiga Format gave the CD32 version 86. Amiga Power gave it a 90. And CU Amiga gave it 95. So,
I mean, absolutely. I agree with all. This is an A game for me. It's an A.
Yeah.
It doesn't tread any new ground, but it takes all of the conventions of a well-established genre and does what it can with them. Duncan asked about where does this stand against the Flight of the Amazon Queen. It doesn't stand anywhere close to Flight of the Amazon Queen.
Well, I mean,
the game itself is like if you strip away the story and the art and everything, I mean it's essentially the same game, but
Same type.
yeah. But Flight of the Amazon Queen, personally, I think I would prefer to look at a lush jungle environment than a decaying urban cityscape for hours and hours on end. Plus the scenes, even beyond that, almost every scene in Flight of the Amazon Queen had some sort of animation, whether it was a waterfall and you saw sparkling fish jumping up and down. A lot of these screens are just static screens.
Well, most of them have something. I think this is a prettier game. I'll be honest with you. I think it's. Let me rephrase that. This is a more well-drawn game, I think. Flight of the Amazon Queen is certainly more colorful, but that's just the genre.
Sure.
The genre for Flight of the Amazon Queen is more fun, filling, and I mean, when you're wacky in that game, you're fighting a monkey or whatever.
Yeah.
You expect wackiness. In
Sure.
a game like this, I expected less wackiness, to be honest with you. We got a couple user reviews, Boat, here. We've got a couple people chimed in, if you'll allow me the courtesy. Lobsterminator, our good buddy, he said, an excellent dystopian adventure game, beautiful graphics, interesting world and characters. The humor and wordplay are unmistakably British. That's true. The choice of setting is unique and brave. Only real critique is that the dialogue uses too many caps as emphasis. Like, and he wrote it like that. Love it, 9 out of 10. And our other good buddy, Free Lunch, which I think he's here with us. I have always really wanted to love Beneath the Steel Sky. Sadly, I just never have. Adventure games are my jam, but this one hits too many sour notes. I think if it had played it when it first released, I may have really enjoyed it. I tried several times and quickly became bored. Pushing forward by determination only, the humor falls a little flat and the puzzles feel too facile. Mostly, like I've been given busy work to complete. That's true. That is true. You do feel like you're just trudging along. It does feel like busy work. I agree with that. Sacrilege, I know. I'll surrender my membership card to the man at the door. Great title, though, from a literary perspective.
Yeah.
5 out of 10.
Beneath the Steel Sky is a great name for a game.
It is. Now, we should probably mention on our outro here that they have said that there will be a sequel. In fact, I think it was announced in March of this year.
Beyond a Steel Sky.
That's right. Now, I have heard early looks at this game say that it did a lot different. Now, I don't know. I don't know how it's going to play.
It's going to be a battle royale. Man.
One would wonder what they have in mind. Now, this story absolutely can lead to a sequel. There's no doubt, because the game ends with closure. But there's a whole world.
Oh yeah.
I
mean, you could tell any number of stories in this world.
Yeah. So, but overall, I saw what they tried to do. It's funny. Usually, I just don't like these games because I just don't like them. But this one, I feel like I've got an actual critique here, which is I didn't like mixing the funny with the dystopia. I'd like to have something that is more serious.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. Aaron, last week, we had some winners from the Patreon Song Challenge. Right. Okay. I want to congratulate all of you for recognizing the tune and writing in. We've got Sweden's own Barkbit, Pixels at Dawn, Pack Billy, Gary Heather, Matthew Perron, Stephen Faust wrote in. Haven't heard from him before. Jan Holbro, whose son is a stand-up comedian. Did you see that?
I saw that. Oh man, I can't wait to see the little show.
Yeah.
That looked like a real deal.
Yeah, absolutely.
Outstanding. Good luck, pal. Yeah.
And Edvin Helland.
The one and only.
Norway's finest.
And everyone got that song. What was it? You want to tell us?
Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi.
When you went way up there, that was a dead
You felt
giveaway.
something in your soul.
No, in my belly. Like I was going to retch. Yeah, that's what I felt like.
I do want to welcome a new supporter this week.
Ooh.
Cap'n Crispy has joined us.
Good.
Cap'n Crispy. He's on board.
Good. Hopefully he will ship us a box of his cereal.
Yeah.
He's got to have one with that name.
Yeah. You know the signification of Captain Crunch
Absolutely.
in the hackerspace?
Are you kidding me? His whistle could activate. And by the way, there's a speaking of our buddies, Dan Ravi over at RetroHard did a great interview with him. It's definitely my all-time favorite episode of that show. And this guy is a brilliant to listen to.
Yeah,
so
yeah. If you haven't heard that,
it's really good.
Yeah. All right. If you know this week's Patreon song, then send me a message at john@amigospodcast.com. We want to thank all of our supporters in this special way.
You look like the tortoise coming out of the shell right there.
That's what I'm doing. It's like the Turtles live tour.
It looks like your
coming out of their
skull
shells.
knows what's coming. It's trying to escape your body.
Captain Crispy, kilobytes and caffeine. Mike W, Decker Threepwood, Gary Heather, free lunch. Kate Fox, David Pickford, Cameron Armstrong, Andy Jones, Lobster Minator, Craig McClellan, 10 Minute Amigo, Retro Caster, Outing Virtual Sheep, Bert Narquin in Retro Man Cave, Tim Drew, Simon Rose, Joseph Harrison, Kyle Edit, Rob O'Hara, Howard Nibbs, Matthew Larimore, Andy Craig, Shanzo, Darren Lomax, calling 419, Bachbid, Roland Burke, Andrew Monks, Joe the Zombie, John Cook, Leaf Gallon, Alan Kebab, Chico Telebolo, John Marshall, Matthew Perron, Ricky DeRoche, Great Big Dead Boy, Big C.T. The Slow Nose, Stefan Gunn, Sword Garden Mortensen, Edwin Saladin, Blendo 75, Christopher Hassel, Rafi Babbitt, Chris Folds, Dreamcatcher, Lauren, Giroux, Cram, Bebke, Lane Denson, Adam Batters, B. O'Brien's Retro and Vintage, Gary Huckasey, Brian Jones, Paul Harrington, Duncan Styles, Tips from the Crypt, Josh Nan, Adam Bradley, Jonas Rulo, THT, Eric Nelson, Kim Tommy Humberstead, Daniel Bixton, Buddha Barra, Darren Coles, Jason Gorns, Pixels at Dawn, and Kjellbjorn Barman.
The Gritcher nailed it. It's like a musical stroke. That's exactly correct.
Stroke of genius.
Never has anything been summed up so perfectly in my life. You know, I got that. I got that one.
Good,
So
good.
I'm proud of myself.
Aaron,
I think.
next week, it's going to be one of the greatest weeks of your life.
Oh yeah.
If not the greatest.
Every week it gets a little better.
We're going to play Panza Kickboxing.
Oh, finally! Oh boy, are
Yeah.
you kidding me?
How many episodes we've been waiting for
Man,
this?
I love it. I can't believe it's never been covered by us.
I know.
Man, I'm gonna beat you like a dog.
Well, we'll see about that. I
man.
have been training.
Hot dog. I love it.
All right, we want to thank all the fine folks with us in YouTube land that are watching us live
We got
right
a good
now.
crowd today.
Absolutely. Pixels at Dawn, Panthro Strife,
Oh, what a cool name.
Ricky DeRocher, Retro Man Cave, Neville Overman from Beneath the Steel Sky, Duncan Styles, Free Lunch, John Mullins. Did I say Edvin already? I think I did.
You can say Panthero's name again.
I'll say it a couple more
Panthro
times.
Strife.
Free Lunch was with us. Terror K. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It's always a party in the chat. Picard 2005, Wishbone, Jan Holbro Rasmussen is here.
Man.
He's back from stand-up comedy land. Free Lunch. Thank you guys so much. We will see you guys next week. Until then, keep them playing the Amiga. Adios.
Did anybody look at our Facebook postings?
There was like one person
I'm gonna
the
pee
whole
real
time.
quick while
All
you-
right.
Oh, you're done.
Bye, guys. Thanks for watching on Facebook.
That'll show them. Whoa. It dinged.
Yeah, I did.
I'll be right back.
All right.
After this word.
I'm also going to refill my drink.
Well, don't leave right now. We can't just have no one here. And
Thanks, Edvin.
I take priority.
It is a party in the chat. It's a party all the
It's
time.
a party in the USA. Remember that song?
No.
Good move. I heard it today.
All right, Jason. We'll see you when you get back. Good night, Burkbit. Sleep well, man.
It's midnight over here or whatever.
Yeah, I think that Steve. I think that that's just the camera. Facebook's camera thing reverses everything on OBS. One of the settings is to reverse the camera. So yeah, I don't. That was a test to see just how much action we get on Facebook. The answer to that question is none. No action. We had 4 people, I think, watch us that whole hour on Facebook. So we made a good call streaming on YouTube. The fall weather can't come fast enough, Ricky. It was 100 degrees, literally 100 degrees. Excuse me, as I was driving home from work today. I am ready for the leaves to fall. I'm ready for cool weather to blow in. 100 degrees is about 38 or 40 C, I think. You can test me on that. But yeah, it's super, super hot in West Virginia right now. Super hot VR. It really is. Edvin, I know lots of people like you. Some of my students literally wear shorts every day of the year, no matter how cold it gets. Were you one of those weird shorts people?
Yes.
I figured you were.
The shorter the better. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Just biker shorts all day long.
Biker?
Don't even know her.
Listen. I cut off my boxers. That's how daring I am.
That is pretty daring. I hope you weren't wearing them.
Another refill, Boatster?
Yeah. I gotta have something. This is just not doing it.
All right. Who in the chat room has played any Thomson computer? I'm going to give you a tip if you don't watch ARG. The Thomson. What's that? I know. Yeah, see, I knew you would, Retro, because I believe you had a lovely special on it. Here's a free tip for everybody. We covered the Thomson on ARG last week, and I've never played one of these things. I still haven't played one, but I emulated it. I never seen one. I'd never even heard of them. So, we pick out a couple random games on ARG Presents, and I picked one called Bob Winter. It wasn't that good, all right? But, well, hold on a second, Retro. I found a gem buried in the muck. All right, it's called Yeti. You should go and play this game. It's not just me. There's some other guys that have been playing it in our Discord. Yes, there it is. There it is. It is fun, man. I don't know about I'm sure you knew this, Retro, and maybe other people here. But someone has taken these Thomson games and they've made them so just executable Windows files. Sort of like the company does for Amiga. So you can actually get Yeti as just an executable. There's no emulator. There's no nothing. You just double click on it, you play it, and boy, it's a lot of fun. It's a Donkey Kong clone with that. It's just fun to play, man. I don't know what to tell you. But the Thomson is an unusual little machine, I guess. Now, Retro, do you actually have one of those? You have an M05? Because I would wonder if anyone, we've got all these SD card solutions for all these systems, and I'm wondering if the Thomson got any sort of love like that, because otherwise you're going to have to be loading stuff off tape, I guess. I know they released some that have floppy drives. Did you listen to ARG for last week, Bo?
Yeah.
Oh, you have one with an SD card reader. Okay, well, there you go.
Thompson?
Yep, Retro's got one.
Wow.
Retro's got everything.
I'm talking to. I'm going to interview Retro on Monday.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Outstanding. Is there nothing you recommend on there, Retro, game wise? I mean, have you not found anything very good? Now I know that it's hard to keep track of which one of those are more advanced than the other because the model numbers are all over the place. Oh man, that is weird. What do you got there, Boat?
The frog.
So did you say you did or did not
Frog
listen
10.
to ARG yet from last week?
I listen every week.
So I didn't know if you listened to it. Yeah, I know you do. So you heard us talk about Yeti.
It sounded like it was the most amazing game of all time.
Well, I mean, you just don't expect there to, elevator action, okay. You don't expect much. And my game was sort of a dud. It looked
Bob
beautiful.
Winter.
It looked beautiful. But Brent was being a smart hind, and he was going to pick something because it was Yeti based.
Right.
Because surely he didn't know what it was.
Right.
And lo and behold, he picked something out that not only doesn't stink, but it's fun. And remember when I chastised Eric Nelson last week for those Donkey Kong? This is what I was talking about.
Sorry.
This is what I was talking about. If you're going to do a Donkey Kong, right, do it.
The Donkey Kong.
Take Donkey Kong, the game, the classic arcade that everybody loves, and then just advance it with new levels, but keep that same the basic elements of gameplay. You can't have Mario doing pull-ups and throwing hats. You can't do that. That's not Donkey Kong.
Nobody
That's
wants
something
Mario
else.
throwing hats.
Nobody wants that.
That's a horrible idea.
Well, actually, it was Jumpman. You know what I mean? Hey, listen, I'm a passionate Thomson fan now.
Did you watch my stream of Donkey Kong for the Game Boy?
No, I didn't even see it. I didn't see that. When was that?
It's the Gamble Train Express video.
Oh, that's what that is? Okay.
I played Gradius 3.
Oh, what?
I played...
What? On what?
on the Super Nintendo.
Okay.
So my original goal was to just play some shooters that predated Project X on the SNES, just to see how contemporary games looked on the Super Nintendo. But then I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about Donkey Kong on the Game Boy, because you'd talked about it, about Mario's different mechanics and things.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because in that game, you start out playing the original 4 levels from the arcade game, but then you're right, it gets totally wacky. Mario's lifting keys above his head like Super Mario 2. And
yeah, the first 4 levels are an abomination to the, and then also the first 4 levels you can still do stuff that you can't do in the original.
You can fall longer than your body height.
Now listen, Fonz, I know what you're talking about there. I've got to be one of the few that have any idea what that reference is. I resent being called either one of the Enos brothers.
Are they wrestlers?
No, it's from a movie. Yeah, it's a long story. I don't resent the fact that someone named Fonz is in here, though.
It's true. Henry Winkler himself. He's a huge Amiga fan.
Wacky.
Hold on a second. I need to switch our scene. You don't really need to hold on a second.
Ooh, fancy.
Have you seen Duncan's new work on the R. Sinclair logo?
I have. He's a machine.
He is.
Yeah, he's got all kinds of good stuff. You ready to rock and roll on this one? You know, this is another one.
It is another one.
This is another one.
It's the 28th.
Yeah, there you go. I just got that retro. Man,
You call yourself a Fonz fan.
I'm slow on the uptake.
Now, you were living when Happy Days was in its original run.
Yeah, we
right?
watched Happy Days every week. Yeah, I did.
It's amazing.
I watched that shark episode. I think it was a 2-parter, I believe. I watched it, yeah, and when it aired live back in the day.
How did you feel back in the day when you got to the end and they gave you the old "to be continued"?
Irritated.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's...
Everybody hates that, but they always do it.
I don't know, every
Because
once
they
in a
know
while
you'll
it's
tune in on the next week, I guess.
Remember the episode of... I can't remember if you were a big Star Trek Next Generation guy, but there was an episode of Star Trek where the Borg, you know the Borg are?
Yeah.
They kidnapped Picard.
And they turned him into a Borg.
They did. So you saw that
Yeah.
one. And it was like to be continued. I thought to myself, my God.
Right.
This is the most epic ending of all the times. You know, it was a season-ending cliffhanger, so you had to wait.
Oh, I didn't realize
like-
that. It was a
I'm like,
season-ending cliffhanger.
how in God's name are you going to get us out of this one?
Yeah.
And then the second part of it is kind of lame.
Right.
You know, it's kind of a letdown.
He
And
gets
that-
out of it in the first 5 minutes.
And that was
then
a Star
everything's
Trek.
fine.
That was a Star Trek tradition. There's another one where they find Data's head like buried in the desert or something. And I was like, man, God, what are they gonna do about that? And then the second half sucked. So they could get you to the first half, and then it fell over in the second half. That's kind of
They couldn't
lame.
sustain the full 2 hours.
Yeah. So, yeah, I didn't like that. When it comes to Happy Days, anytime you can gauge your Happy Days by who's on it, to a certain degree.
Chachi, A+ episodes.
Chachi's okay, but when you get to when Joni's got that dumb hair, you got problems.
Any episode where Richie has a mustache, it's bad.
I'll watch everything up to, like all the old ones are good, but it's just like any other show.
Well, it's really like any other show where the first season is actually not that great, but then like 2, 3, and 4 is when they hit their stride.
Yeah, it's same thing with MASH. You can gauge a lot of these things on haircuts. Whenever you see Hot List with the perm, it's over.
Yeah,
Turn that sucker
you don't
off.
want that.
You know,
That would be a great band name, by the way.
Hot List with the perm.
Yeah.
There you go. Make it happen, Bo. You know, and when everybody's like, "Oh, Fonzie jumped the shark," that was it. That's not true.
No, that show continued for like 6 or
And
7 more years.
it was fine, and it got real stupid. I mean, Mork was on there a couple times, and I mean, some real dumb. They took some real weird turns and chances, you know. But I mean, the shark that happened. I don't remember what season that happened. I don't think it was like super late in the run.
It was late-ish. It wasn't the last
now
episode.
When you see the guy from Revenge of the Nerds, he plays a character in the show, and you got
I don't think I've seen any of those.
like those the ones towards the end where they any of the weird spin-offs.
Because you got to remember,
that's not true. They had a lot of spin-offs.
I watched all of this on Nick at Night, and I don't think at Nick at Night they chose not to rerun those episodes. They knew what they were about.
It's just what Derek K ran. That is ridiculous. That's horrible. They ran the second episode first. At least you knew not to watch the first episode.
Well, wasn't that the way with Firefly? Didn't they run all the episodes
They ran
out of
Firefly out of order. That's when they debuted on Fox. They ran them out of order. And so you had no idea what was going on.
Right.
It's funny. I watched them. When I got all those shows, it was years after they'd been canceled. and I was watching them in order because I had a list. I was like, oh, here's a, so I watched, and I was like, I had no idea what was happening. And all of a sudden, 3 or 4 episodes in, they introduce you to all the characters and the captain. I'm like, what the heck's going on here? You know, it doesn't make any sense. It's because Fox is idiots.
Right.
You know, as we've determined.
Hey man, Saturday night, isn't the Saturday Night SmackDown coming to Fox on
Friday.
Friday night SmackDown?
Don't care. Don't even care a little.
I was watching football and they had a big promo.
Oh yeah, they're gonna
about
mix
that.
it up.
Yeah.
Did you watch last night's game at all? I didn't either. I forgot it was on. Yeah, there's gonna be a lot of intermingling of.
There's a spread. There's like a 27-point spread. One of the games this weekend. I can't remember who it is, but I mean, like, you'd have to be an idiot. I don't know what.
Everyone was burying the Raiders, and they went out and kicked the crap out of the Broncos the night. So those spreads don't mean much this early in the year.
Yeah.
You know, something else that's happened that's glorious. We have gotten the next season of British Baking.
Yeah, I haven't started it.
Thank you, sweet Lord.
I'm just finishing up. Have you seen all the previous seasons?
I've seen every season up to this one.
Do you remember the season with Chetna, the Indian girl?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, the 17-year-old, the other girl. Okay, we're just finishing that one up, and as soon as we finish that one, we're going right to the new season.
Now, I believe they kept Netflix is screwing with us because they're not releasing them all at once.
Right.
What is that?
They want to keep you paying that monthly
so
fee.
they'll release all the Stranger Things at once, but not this?
Well, they own Stranger Things. It's
I'm just saying,
deal.
what are we doing here? And why do they make us wait so long?
The BBC's got their heads in a vice.
Yeah, but I don't think the BBC controls this anymore, do they?
Yeah, they own the show.
Oh, I thought there was a big falling out with because they got new hosts and stuff because of that. You know.
Oh.
Yeah, a couple years ago, something went down.
I don't think that the BBC. It's still on the BBC.
Someone over there, something happened with their production company.
I think the original 2 hosts were just garbage. I mean, we can barely make it through.
Now I will say new host. Well, they're not new now. The dude from
the guy from the IT crowd.
Yeah, old Greg.
Yeah.
What is old Greg's real name? Somebody help me out. The IT crowd guy he's so entertaining that it's unbelievable. Like he's off the charts. Entertaining, and
it was hard to go back to the old ones, but we have to. What else we're
Retro knows what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
You want a Bailey's, but that guy's great, and the chick that's with him will do. She's up for anything.
Yeah. I mean, it's just they're fine, but it's hard to go back. If we would have watched from the beginning with the original 2 hosts, we wouldn't have seen anything wrong with it.
That's right. I can never show that to Boat. He won't make it through that. I tried to show my buddies that old Greg segment, and they thought I was the biggest idiot on earth. But I do miss Mary. I will say I like Mary.
I don't know what happened to her. Maybe she died.
She went. No, she didn't die. She's got a show. She went with the other people.
Oh, they made their own show.
Yeah, they did.
Maybe this was when it changed from BBC to Channel 4.
It was a money thing. I know that.
It's funny. I always get confused because Channel 4 was like the first cable channel in England, or was like the first non-BBC channel. But BBC 4, like Radio 4, that's like the serious BBC station where they play all the documentaries and stuff on the radio. Mm-hmm. So that confuses me.
I wish we had stuff like that here.
We don't have any culture. That's the problem.
Because they get all kinds of great plays and stuff. Yeah, they do radio plays. Like they did a bunch of Twilight Zones. They did all the Lord of the Rings. They did a bunch of really good stuff over there. And what do we get? I've got to dig up old radio shows from the 60s and 50s and stuff.
We get episode 27 of Pawn Stars.
Well,
that's what we get.
Listen, I know. Then again, I do like some schlock, but not Pawn Stars. We watched this show. You ever watch that show where they open up those storage containers?
Oh yeah,
wars?
I've seen them all, man.
They're such
garbage.
The thing what gets me is, I'm a wrestling fan. Okay, so I literally can sit down and watch absolute fake garbage. Mm-hmm. I've seen the stupidest things you can imagine. But they try to present this as something that's happening in the real world.
Yeah.
And you've got to be the most brain dead oaf. Just like Pawn Stars. I mean, you've got to be these guys. Oh yeah. So I see what you've brought me here. It's a 19th century rifle used on a hill overlooking a bay. It's like, are you kidding me? You big bald dude. But you don't know what that is. What's he got? Wikipedia plugged into his hiney?
They filmed the whole thing on a soundstage.
Yeah,
now.
it's all. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's.
Man, Storage Wars. This is a new version. It's Storage Wars Down South or something like that.
When they add the down south.
What I like is, they don't even try to pretend anymore. It'll be like there'll be 2 couples. They'll be bidding on this storage bin, and one will be like $10, and then they'll cut away to the other chick in like a studio. And she'll be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna let her take me now."
Right.
And then they pan back. She says, "15." I'm like, "When did you tape that?" What is happening here? Can someone stop time?
I mean, it is. It's exactly like race. It's exactly like wrestling. You know it's fake, but you can't stop watching.
And they've always got to take something to get it appraised. It's like they buy a storage container with like a bag of old underwear and socks.
I know a guy.
And it's like, wait a minute, look, buried in this old underwear. Is this a turn of the century chest? What's in it? Oh my God, it's the ancient dueling pistols. Come on. What the heck was that doing in underpants? That can't possibly be real. I store all my ancient treasures in a huge pile of underpants and socks. That's the way I like to do it. I guess they would be safe, though, now I think about it.
No one would suspect.
Yeah, okay. Now they know. So I'm going to change my hiding place.
Yeah.
Litter box. That's next. All right, you ready to do this?
Let's do it.
Look at your notes.
My notes
what is
are
that?
extensive.
That's not even notes.
That's where I scratched out what we did last week and I wrote in with pen what
so
we're
you don't
doing
have
this
any
week.
notes? So if it wasn't for me, note-wise, we'd be, oh, give me a break. Are you kidding me?
It's the steel trap.
Uh-huh.
It's
Beneath the
the
steel
cage.
trap. Right there. Crank it up.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to our Sinclair. I'm John.
And I'm Aaron.
And today we're going to be talking about ATV Simulator.
Yeah.
Now, if you look at did you take a second to look at the cassette insert of this?
I just saw the
game?
cover of it. I didn't actually look at the insert.
I think on the back of the cassette, it says, ATVs are huge in the States and soon to be here.
I wonder if that actually came to pass.
Well, this game was from '87.
All right.
And I will say that when I was a kid, ATVs, we never called them ATVs, first of all.
We called
them four-wheelers.
Four-wheelers, yeah.
Everyone
else in America calls them ATVs,
right.
but us, yeah.
Yeah. In West Virginia, they're four-wheelers.
Four-wheelers.
I wanted one so bad.
You did?
I wanted one so bad.
Because you don't seem to be like in something that involved danger.
Well, as a kid, I was different. I was less risk averse.
Did you get hurt a lot, and that's why you're like you are now?
Probably so. I went to my friend's house, and she lived over in Scott Depot, the wilds of Scott Depot.
Oh, yeah.
And her cousin had a four-wheeler.
Yeah.
And I rode this thing.
Yeah.
And I remember lying to my mom when I got home because I was so excited to tell her that I rode a four-wheeler, but I didn't want her, because whenever I'd say I want a four-wheeler, it was the old Red Ryder BB gun. She's like, you'll die if you have a
You'll break your back.
Yeah. And I was like, they had an extra helmet, so I rode a four-wheeler. There was no helmet.
No, you don't want
There
no
was no
helmets, especially back in those days.
Right. But I was tearing through the fields.
Oh, so you rode
Man,
it?
yeah, it was so much fun. Did you ever ride a four-wheeler back in the day?
I've never ridden. I've never ridden on a four-wheeler. I've never ridden.
You know, it's a common practice for people that live in this very neighborhood, the neighborhood of Amigos Studios, to tear through our road on a four-wheeler late into the night.
I've seen four-wheelers on every road around us except the interstate. It's the only place on there. I mean, any other road,
you're just going to see
any
them.
street, the suckers they're like horses.
Yeah.
I've seen horses on those same roads too. So yeah, I think you're right. Tear through. And I'll tell you, we don't live out in the super sticks.
No.
Out there, that's how they get around. Four-wheeler, just right up in the woods. You just see suckers. I remember visiting Cabin Creek one time. It was my granny lived up there, and about 5 people just emerged from the woods on these things. There was no road. There was no path. These guys were out in the woods, just riding around.
Did
you could do it.
Did your grandma know Jerry West?
My mom did.
Really?
Yeah. My mom knew him, yeah. It's funny you should mention that. They went to school together.
Wow.
Yeah, there you go. A little tidbit for you.
Yeah. Zeke from Cabin Creek.
Yeah. Is that what they call him?
Yeah.
Oh, my God. No one knows who Jerry West is, aside from
Except for the fact that he's the logo of the
NBA.
NBA.
Well, yeah, but no, NBA's not. I guess people watch.
They're bigger than the
Germany.
NFL, man.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
The NFL's world famous. It's not like the NFL.
I mean the NBA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Jerry West is like a pretty big deal basketball player around here.
He's the logo of in the NBA. If you see the guy in white that's dribbling the basketball, he's from West Virginia, Cabin Creek. Look it up.
That's crazy. That's crazy to think about.
He's got to be the most famous person that's ever been from the state.
I had to think about that.
Chuck Yeager, probably second.
That'd be the one I would probably pick. I'd say I don't know. I'd be close.
I guarantee you poll people, like you show them the NBA logo, they recognize that more than they recognize the face of Chuck Yeager.
But I couldn't tell you who the logo was. I mean, I've heard that, but I couldn't have said that. I wouldn't know for sure. I'm not a big basketball guy, so I like the Globetrotters. That's about it.
That's true. They are a fine team.
But no, when it comes to four-wheeling, it's still super popular here. I wonder if it actually caught on in the UK or overseas.
It would be interesting to know if that came to pass. Perhaps you can leave us a comment to let us know how big ATVs
Duncan
got.
Style says most quad bikes are illegal on UK roads. Well, they're illegal here too. I mean, don't get me wrong.
Just nobody cares. There's no rules in West Virginia. There's just suggestions.
Who's going to stop you? Nobody. That's who.
No, because you've got a rifle strapped across your back.
And I will say, but suckers do use them for farm stuff.
Yeah.
Or like
there's lots of legit
conservation
uses.
stuff like that. Yeah, mudding is one. Yeah.
Back roads are bogging up.
People get killed on them all the time.
Whenever you watch the news, I mean, WSAZ every night, it's like he was killed in an ATV. Because these things, they flip at the touch.
All the time.
Yeah.
Or you get hit by a car. That happens sometimes too.
Because you're on the road.
You're on the road. It's at night. It's not like they have big, huge headlights.
Right, and it's totally
lights.
open. It's like riding a motorcycle.
Yeah.
So.
When you go up in the hollers, though, that's all you hear up and down the hollers. Those things buzzing along.
You ever have anybody cruising by the mountain in a four-wheeler?
I know my buddy drove his motorcycle up Mud Mountain, and he said he would never do that in a million years ever again.
I rode up there in the minivan, and it was
too
no
deadly.
Good.
By the way, Mud Mountain's for sale. Did I mention that?
You haven't mentioned it on this show.
Mud Mountain is for sale.
If you are in the Charleston, West Virginia metro area, and you are looking for a desirable place in which to hang your hat, the former residence of Amigo Aaron is up for sale for the low price of
$10 large.
$10,000.
10 large. You get the whole side of the mountain.
Yeah.
That's all yours. And no lawn mowing either. I can tell you that.
You don't have to worry about people stealing your air conditioner. It's bolted into the window. That's right.
You know, come to think of it, an ATV probably would have done pretty well up there. Now that I think about it.
Well, you used to park your car down there at the foot of the mountain.
Halfway down,
right? Halfway down.
Yeah.
So you could have parked an ATV and then ridden it up the rest of the way.
They would have stole that in less than a second.
Really?
That's not that people steal your ATV. Oh yeah. That's still everything.
This is how it is.
That's the way it is around
here.
You
need your own reality show called Life on the Mountain.
I don't live on the mountain now.
Well, back in the day, could you imagine if a camera crew followed you around?
Yeah, they get to see me in my underwear eating pizza and smoking cigars while I drank bourbon and watched Japanese pro wrestling at 4 a.m. Sounds like a great show to me.
I'd tune in. I'd watch
Book it.
Aaron, let's talk about this week's game, ATV Simulator.
ATV, now, I'd never played this, but this one has somewhat of a reputation, doesn't it? I mean, I'd actually heard of this one. Have you heard of this one before?
This is Pixels at Dawn. I remember him from way back saying this was one of his favorite games on the Specky, and it was in one of the many packs of games that we've received as mail from our from our fans from around the world.
So this one's over on your shelf
I
right now?
have an actual physical copy of ATV Simulator that I probably should have brought it over here to the table.
No forethought at all.
No.
So this game, of course, came out way back, excuse me, for the Specky in '87. This thing also got and also for the C64, this thing also got an Amstrad release. I wish I'd looked at that because I didn't find that out till today in '88. So there was an Amstrad release of this particular. I'd like interested to see what it looks like, you know. And the C64 probably looked pretty good. I didn't look at it either. So this was published by Codemasters. And was worked on by several folks. You had Tim Miller. Now Tim Miller's name struck out for me because he worked on the sequel to Miner 2049, Bounty Bob Strikes Back.
Wonderful.
Did you ever play that game?
Oh man, I played Bounty Bob.
Listen, I didn't know. I knew you'd played the first one, dude. Now one thing all these people had in common is apparently these guys were these simulation masters. So James Wilson worked on this game. He worked on BMX Simulator 1 and 2, Jet Ski Simulator, Grand Prix Simulator.
Okay.
Wait, I'm not done.
Okay.
Jet Bike Simulator. I'm still not done, by the way. Pro BMX Simulator, Pro Ski Simulator. So you've got a lot of simulators in there.
Let me tell you something about, as somebody who's played some of these games on streams before, the word simulation is thrown around quite a bit on the spectrum.
Listen, now I'm going to give you the reason why.
Okay.
Okay? You're mocking it, and you should. It's funny. But in the early days of computers, simulators, there was a very high desire for simulators because the thought was, this is going to sound hokey, but it's true. I swear to you it's true. Computers were there to simulate real events. They simulate, and not in a comical way. Like, remember when we reviewed the tennis game for the Specky a while back? That was another one. Remember, this is as close as you can get to actual tennis. You know, or this is as close as you can get to, and that had it carried a lot more weight in those early days of computers. Now it seems sort of dopey, but so when you labeled something on the simulator, the thought was that would give the title a little more weight.
Right.
In my opinion.
Sure, absolutely. Whenever I see
Yeah.
whenever I see the word simulator next to a game, I want to play it because I want to know what it's like to do that thing.
Right, exactly. Now, the third member of the team, we've mentioned Tim Miller and Jason Wilson. Third member of this team, the music man on this one. And I will say,
Brimble, right?
that was David Whitaker. Now,
David Whitaker.
David Whitaker has done a ton of music, as you'll know, because he worked on the Amiga. He did a ton of stuff. He did Shadow the Beast, Obliterator, Speedball. He did a lot of stuff. And C64 did a ton of stuff. And I will say, this game does not sound as a sound would normally on a Spectrum. I thought it actually had legitimate music in this game.
Yeah.
I mean, it was good. It was okay.
Yeah.
I mean, normally we joke about the sound that comes out of this thing. This was probably the best music compilation or tune or whatever that I've heard on the Spectrum. Now, that much said, that's low praise because I turned this down pretty low because
I needed it almost immediately.
I wasn't expecting music, and so when I heard music, I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then after a while, I'm like, "That's got to get down. I got to turn that sucker down." So I mean, still, I'm gonna give it credit because I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was real good actually. Now, getting back to it, this was made for the 48K. Now this game has some interesting gimmicks here, Boatster. 2-player play.
Yeah.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
I guess you didn't get to play a double game in this thing, did you?
I was solo. Flying solo, just like life.
Yeah. I'll tell Eep that you said that. See how that gets over. You've got a great control set up on this. You've got the redefinable keys, which I love. I actually played this in 2 different ways. I played with a stick or a gamepad and with the keys. You've got
to break yourself of this habit of only playing Spectrum games with the
keyboard.
Listen,
I play them how I feel is natural. And I can see a guy with a Spectrum. He didn't have a fancy cartridge with a gimmick on it. He's just got the little black number there, and he's going to work with his hand. That's what I do.
Okay.
I like the tactile pleasure. Of course, I don't have the actual Spectrum, so I don't get it. But still, I can pretend, all right? Don't burn down my bridge, boat. So when this thing debuted, it was selling for £1.99.
Boy. That's a killer price.
Yeah, that's a low.
This debuted at £1.99.
That's what according to these 2 reports that I dealt up.
Okay.
That's a cheap deal.
Yeah.
So that's not too bad. Now, what do you do in ATV simulator? You simulate riding an ATV.
It's like you're there.
Now, before we get into this game too far, I play a game on the Xbox and the PC called Trials.
Yes.
All right. Now, I have read that this game is very similar to a game I haven't played called Kickstart.
Yes.
Have you played Kickstart, Bo?
Yes.
You did play it.
I played it on the Atari.
Oh, okay. So now, are there similarities between the two?
Kickstart, your sprite is a lot smaller.
Okay.
So you can see a lot more of the board, but it's the same general thing where you are traveling at a relatively low rate of speed,
right?
And you're trying to, negotiate this course of various height obstacles and going off ramps and things like that. Very similar. I would say that if you look at the line of evolution, it would go, Kickstart, and then ATV Simulator is somewhere in the middle between Kickstart and Trials.
Now, but Trials, I'm assuming the reason I brought that up is they had to have played this.
Because if not this game, then Kickstart for sure.
Yeah, because this is very. When I started playing this, I almost felt at home. I still sucked, but I almost felt at home because it's very similar.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like an old friend.
What I do like is so basically you're a dude, and the first thing I like about this game is there's a running start. You have to run to your ATV. That tickled me something fierce.
It is pretty funny.
It tickled me.
I would like to see that on more racing, like in a NASCAR race. Have all the drivers just hightail it.
You'd
for
be
their
all
cars.
of Bo and Luke Dukes. The people sliding across the hoods and jumping through the window.
That's what the sport needs to give it a shot in the arm.
Bo, you should be running NASCAR.
I know.
So once your poor transparent guy runs to his ATV, he gets on this sucker and he guns it. That's something else I like. Just fire that thing up. At the top of the screen is a speed a la track and field, a speed dial, or it's more like a line.
A gauge.
Yeah, a gauge, thank you. And then you got a fuel gimmick, and then you got your time at the bottom,
right?
And how much time you got left. That's all you need, right? This is another game, of course, since the game is split in half, you'd think I'd be whining about that. This is a la Lotus Esprit 1, where they did that same shtick where you just had like a blank screen. But I'm not gonna dock them.
No,
because the sprites are big. You can see what's happening. There's plenty of screen. I don't get a problem with it. No, and so normally I would chastise a game for that, but this time it works. They pull it off. Plus, you got 2 players, so if you want to do 2 doubles, so you hop on your motor scooter or your 4-wheeler. No one says motor scooter anymore, do they?
Well, especially when they're describing a 4-wheeler.
Yeah, you hop on your motorized ATV and you take off down the course. Now, this is not a game where you hit the throttle and just go as fast as you can.
No.
You'll be brutally murdered.
This is the opposite of that.
Unfortunately, that's my usual modus operandi. And even after playing Trials for years, I still cranked it up. Now, and you are faced with a series of obstacles on various tracks. You have basically your 4 directions, plus you have a jump button, all right, or jump for your guy / the ATV. So you can, at certain points, you can hit the button and your ATV will shoot up in the air. All right. There is a lot of meticulous, calculated work in terms of lifting and lowering the front of your vehicle to get over objects, just like Trials. This meticulous maneuvering, I was not very good at, and so I only made it. There are 6. You've got 6 levels in this. I made it to the 4th level, which was the pyramids level.
That's exactly where I made it to.
And then and that was a miracle the times I got there. So let's go over the levels of this. You've got your
No, I take it back. I got past there.
Oh, okay.
I
So you got the
pyramids.
Tropicana.
Yeah, I got
so
the Tropicana.
You've got the first level is called sand duning. Self-explanatory.
I wish that they would have made it a little cooler. Sand duning. Apostrophe.
Well, what do you want? You can't.
Because we'll look at the second level. What's the second level called?
Grass tracking.
Yeah. Grass tracking. What are you doing this weekend?
Grass tracking. Yeah. So in the first level, actually the first level and the second level are pretty. The first level is not that obstacle heavy.
The main problem that I had with the first level is that there are several pyramid-shaped objects that are built out of large stones.
Yeah, they're just like big rocks.
Yeah, you can get hung up on those, sort of caught up in the geography or the geometry of the stones. One of the things that I wish that you could do in this game is that when you wreck, you hop off. You're thrown violently.
Thrown. Right. I was gonna say hop off.
Yeah.
Your guy goes high into the sky.
Right. I wish that you could do more with the ATV off your bike. Like when I got hung up on those rocks, I wish the guy could get behind the ATV and just push it up and over, because I had such a hard time just freeing myself so I could get to a point where I could continue.
The funny thing, I love that aspect of it too, by the way. You have, when you get violently thrown off, unlike Trials, your guy has to run. Of course, in Trials, you're brutally murdered. In this, you have to sort of run back and get back on the ATV. Now, that's not easier sounding than it actually is, because you have to sort of line up, looking the same way as the ATV, but you sort of have to run behind it and then kind of do a quick turn and then kind of jump on. But there's something fun about jumping on an ATV.
I do. I like that aspect of the game.
But what can be difficult is when you wreck on a particularly bad area, and amazingly, I found all the worst possible areas, and then your ATV would be teetering. Sometimes I would just run out of time because I couldn't get back on the ATV.
Yeah.
Or I couldn't get to the ATV too. So anyway, sand duning, not so tough. Then you've got grass track, and there's a lot more higher obstacles than that, and obstacles that take you up real high, and then a big chunk will be missing. You've got to sort of get across the chunk. More difficult, but again, it's mostly handling the vehicle, not so much the actual obstacles that are really tough. You just have to, once you learn the pattern, you're okay. Then you get to the icebergs. That's the first time you really get to the difficult areas of where you actually have to get over a weird obstacle. In this case, there are some seals with like balls that are whacking them in there, but I managed to get past that one too. And it's just, when I say icebergs, just you're sort of underwater, like I guess ice water.
It's a weird sort of thing. And you're not sure what the ground is.
And the background's white. I mean, these are the graphics you would come to expect. Your guy's color is whatever the background is. Then you go to the 4th level pyramids. The pyramids are tough. The obstacles are just really tough. It's just it's a tough level.
I truly believe I only got past it once, and I think it was mostly luck. I just had a lucky break.
So I had to watch the 5th and 6th levels, and these levels I got to talk about. So,
I got to the Tropicana level.
Where I'm impressed.
And this was the introduction, the debut performance of the Birds of Doom.
If you've ever seen Birdemic, I don't know how many people have seen this movie, but it's sort of like a cut rate version of Alfred Hitchcock's The Birds. These birds come straight from Birdemic. These big hovering scumbags. It's funny that this game, now this is something Trials doesn't have.
There's no birds in Trials.
Or weird, or I mean, and there's more stuff to talk about that, but because on the Tropicana board, you've got your birds. Then you've also got to jump across these floating logs. And you've also got crocodiles. You got to, in the true James Bond live and let die fashion, you got to drive. You ever seen that one? Bond runs across the backs of a bunch of crocodiles. And this one, you're driving across their backs. Much more dangerous, I guess, to run across them.
I don't know.
But the birds, the worst. But the thing that gets me in this level, and I don't get this. I mean, you've got a time limit. But I mean, the birds there's nothing you can do. They just come down and accost you.
Right.
And I don't know what in God's name is going on in the world where this would happen, but they don't ever go away.
They're here to stay.
After they accost you on that level, they come back for the 6th level, which is a swamp. The swamp level is just dismal. Like, why would you drive your ATV in this swamp? Because you've got the floating logs are back, plus the crocodiles, plus the birds, plus you've got swarms of insects that come down.
Well, it's a fitting final level for the game.
No, because you can't get away.
Where would you place your final level?
No, it's not the level I'm talking about. It's the fact that they have these floating obstacles that you can't avoid. I don't know how you could possibly avoid them. You run right into them. And so your guys endlessly get knocked off, and you have to run and jump back on real quick. And I guess the only way to get past it is just to be super quick about getting back on your ATV and taking back off. Because, I mean, the obstacles are super thick.
Yeah, you really just have to, it becomes a time thing at that point.
But that much said, it's funny. I laughed my butt off watching whoever played that playthrough go through this. I mean, swarms of insects and crocodiles and stuff. We don't have crocodiles in West Virginia.
No, not
thankfully.
often. Yeah.
Or alligators or whatever it is. Do we have crocodiles in America? I thought we had alligators. Is that what?
I think we've got alligators. They've got crocodiles in the Africa. I think South America.
Yeah. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I guess these are probably, I don't know where this game takes place.
Well,
but
we don't know that they're not alligators.
Yeah, they could be in like the deepest parts of the jungle of Africa. We don't know. But they look pretty big. So normally you wouldn't drive your ATV over them. I'm sure
not often.
PETA would not be pleased with that aspect of it. Nevertheless, I like the game. I like the way that it looks. I mean, it's got the usual color issues that a Spectrum game has. But the coloring is the grasslands are green.
It's pleasant.
The desert's yellow. The snow is white. I mean, it's not that difficult. It's like rocket science. It's not like the game we played. Was it last week where just inexplicably the green part was Paperboy.
Yeah.
The green part was off the screen, and the rest of the screen just looked like transparent. No good. This was more fun than Paperboy.
The color design is much better in ATV Simulator.
Yeah, I agree. In fact, it's funny. I don't know. Maybe it's just we've played the Spectrum for a while, but I don't even think about it much until we talk about it. When I was playing it this week, I didn't even think much about it. What did you think of this one?
I had a real good time with this game. I like Trials too. I like these games that are sort of short bursts of action. The courses are all relatively short. I did find once I got to the birds, I realized that this game is just out for your blood.
He needs a revolver.
Yeah. You need to have some sort of projectile in this game.
I mean, if you're going to ride your bike in a swamp, you need to bring a gun or something.
Because, at the end of the day, like you said, when you get to these harder levels, it's not about having enough skill to get around the obstacles. It's having enough skill to jump off your bike and how fast can you jump back on so you can finish the race in the time allotted.
I agree. But I was not very good at this game. I could not and it Trials was the same way. It takes you a while to grasp how
okay,
the
let me ask you a
controls.
question. Did you read the docs?
No.
Okay, that's all that needs to be
docs.
said. So the docs explain how you need to position your bike to get over these various things.
Oh, yeah?
Okay. So rule number 1 is you never want to land with your wheels pointing down. You land with your wheels pointing down, you're going to crash all the time.
All right.
Rule number 2 is that you've got to approach different height obstacles at different angles. Okay, so like what works for one obstacle may not work for all of them, and then it's just playing it over and over again to remember. Like at this one, I'm going to hit it at a 45, but this one it's got to be a 30. That sort of a deal. And it takes time. It takes practice. It takes dedication, and it takes real talent.
Well, hey, listen, I got almost as far as you did. Smart, but I never seen it. So I looked up some reviews on this bad boy. It did pretty good. It did okay, not great. World of Spectrum 8.15. They're very generous. They're way more generous over there than they are even on Lemon. Crash only gave this 66%. They were not that impressed. Sinclair user, 6 out of 10. Same thing. And your Sinclair gave it 8 out of 10. They were a little kinder to it. Where do you think it would fall in that area there?
Whenever we think about, I always think about the price.
Yeah.
Okay. This was £1.99.
Yeah, you're right there. Good point.
I got £2 worth of fun out of this game and some.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
And some.
I'm going to agree with you on that, dude. I mean, it was definitely worth $2.
Yeah. So as a budget title, to me, this is about as best as you can get. I think that with 2-player game, sitting with your buddy, watching them go. Of course, it's hot seat; it's not simultaneous, but that adds a ton of replay value. I think that the animations, they could have gone real lazy with the animation. When you wreck, they could have just had your sprite just go like, meh. But no, it shows your guy flailing around.
That's another reason why I'm sure the Trials guys play, because I mean, your guy wrecks spectacular.
It's a ragdoll type
and you could be getting mauled as you come across the finish line. It still counts. So it's also, this was a real hit in the Discord this week. People were posting pictures of their high scores and stuff. And some people were finishing the race with flair, which I enjoyed. Speaking of those guys, we got some user and listener reviews here. Our good buddy Pixels at Dawn, a tightly focused time trial game for 1 or 2 players, where perfecting your run and mastering the obstacles is paramount. Looks great, sounds okay, but it's challenging enough to keep you coming back again and again, assuming a vulture doesn't fly off with your bike, obviously, 9 out of 10. Those vultures, or whatever, they could have been vultures. I didn't really think of what they were. I'm guessing turkey vultures around here. Graham W. Vebke, our good buddy, says this game had me comparing it to the Kickstart series, which is my preference here. However, this game is still decent. It is a little slow, but most annoying thing is getting unfairly stuck. On Tropicana, if you crash those crocodiles, it takes forever to get your ATV off again. And your ATV gets stuck behind obstacles less than half the height of your wheels. So your ATV really isn't an ATV. It's got a valid point there. ATVs generally can get out of anything. Enjoyable all the same, 7 out of 10. Oh, our good friend Chris Fold says a fun Kickstart clone with an incredibly cramped view window for the size of the characters. A few annoying traits such as your bike ending up on the top of the pyramid with nowhere to get to it. And those bloody birds distract from the enjoyment. And the time limits are especially harsh on later levels. I still enjoyed it though. 7 out of 10. And so sort of echoing what we said for the most part. Pretty fun. There can be moments where you kind of get screwed. And I don't care how good you are. If you get stuck in the wrong spot, you're going to be tough. It's going to be tough sailing to get back up to get your bike.
Absolutely. We did get a new iTunes review, Aaron.
Oh, beautiful.
This one comes all the way to us from the United Kingdom. Okay? This is from Neash72. Who says, great podcast and really great to hear a USA perspective on the games of my youth. It's like discovering them all again. If you had a Specky back in the day, get listening now. So thank you, Neash, and we encourage all of you out there that enjoy the show to leave us a review on iTunes. iTunes is sort of the aggregator that all of the other podcatchers glean their recommendations from. So it really means a lot to us if you could leave us a review. And I also want to thank all of our supporters for this show. You guys really, your support on Patreon really means a lot to us. It helps us keep this show going week after week. We have a new Patreon supporter this week,
sweet.
Aaron. A guy whose name is Cap'n Crispy.
Oh, wow. He's doubling up.
He's supporting us on both Amigos and our Sinclair.
Thank you, Cap'n.
Thank you, Cap'n. You know what they say about you and the Cap'n?
No.
You can make it happen.
Oh, who says that?
Me.
Is that from something?
It's from me.
Oh, wow. Well done.
I think it was also a Captain Crunch
yeah.
thing. Well, why didn't you say that when
I didn't know. And you should just take full credit for it. Maybe you should be writing jingles.
I should.
You shouldn't be singing them. That's for sure.
Well, I mostly perform. I'm a performer.
Oh, is that what that is?
They call it a vocalist. That's what I do.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank all of our fine supporters, our Sinclair supporters on Patreon. Cap'n Crispy, Laurent Giroux, Gary Heather, Eric Nelson, Harbonut, Graham W. Vebke, Frodo NL, Tapes from the Crypt, Pixels at Dawn, Chris Foltz, Paul Harrington, and Christopher Hassel. And a special shout out to you Clive's Club members that chose this game for us this week.
Good choice.
I loved it.
I did too. I thought it was fun.
Yeah.
I think I got to get better at it, but I had a good time.
Yeah. I also want to thank all the fine folks that are hanging out with us live on the YouTube chat this week. We got Picard 2005, Edvin Helland, Retrobox, Retroman Cave, John Mullins, Pixels at Dawn, Tara K. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. It's always a party live watching us. We record the show every Friday around 6-ish. We usually do Amigos before this show, and then we go right into our Sinclair. If you could join us live on YouTube, it's a really fun time. Plus, you get to see all of the hidden banter sections between the show.
Oh yeah, you're really missing out there.
So, guys, thanks as always for listening. Keep on playing the Spectrum. Until next week, rewind tape
And press play.
I still have to look at it. I can never remember it.
Hey, Retro, yes, 2 players simultaneous, brother.
Is it simultaneous?
Yeah.
Are you sure?
Absolutely, because at work, when I was playing this, I started the second player and I played myself.
Really?
Yeah.
I figured this was Hot Seat. I apologize.
No,
I got
no.
that one wrong.
It's funny because I kept reading it was Hot Seat, but no, 2 players simultaneous, man.
Wow. Very impressive.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about
Did
this.
I not make that clear, guys? I thought because I mean, it's split. I mean,
Well, it's split, but I mean, how many...
why would you split the screen and have
Well,
I thought I should have made that more abundantly clear. It absolutely is.
well, I said it was Hot Seat,
Because
too.
I kept reading on like wiki and stuff said Hot Seat. I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. It's single player. So I literally put it on 2 players and started up, and it's 2 players, 2 players simultaneous screen.
I'll tell you what we need to do. We need to do a simultaneous match of this. You on the keyboard, since that's your preferred method of choice, and me on the stick.
So you can smush
and
me.
And by the stick, I mean the
You know,
PS4
since we're doing
controller.
Panza next week, what did you say we were playing on this show next week?
Oh, I forgot to say that on the
What
show.
are we playing?
Starquake. I don't know what that is.
Sounds cool.
Yeah.
But we should maybe we should take a little bit of time. We can play a 2-player round of this, and we'll play some 2-player Panza too.
All right, we'll do
All
it.
right?
We'll do it
How
next
about-
week
how's that
after the
sound?
show.
Good deal.
All right, guys.
Thanks,
we'll see you
guys.
next week. Thanks for tuning in.
Bye bye. Adios.
Bye-bye. Adios.